take our place beyond. You're on the roof of the world, in the cradle of the stones, where faithful winds cut to the bone, and there's no turning back.
Welcome one and all right back to the LPL here in LPL Winter Split 2025. I'm Mazel, I'm joined by Alk Battery, and I couldn't be more excited to break down and get to watch LGD versus Anyone's Legend, our first bout of Group A.
Finally, we got 2 Group C matches, I'm pretty sure. Just like we've already had one of the groups almost solved for having a playoff bye, so I'm glad we finally get to see this group, and we get our Demacia Cup champions already here.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and take a look at that format here so we can break down a little bit what these groups are looking like. Since we have gotten to see a little bit of them, we're moving through the first couple weeks of LPL since the first week was only one day. But you take a look here. This is an incredible format so far. I think we've already seen so much fun in these best of fives, even though maybe Silver Scrapes eluding a little bit more so than not. But it is a single round robin of 4 groups. Best of fives, fearless format.
Oh, it's been so much fun. Again, this format is super cutthroat. Top 2 make it into the playoffs. Bottom 2 are done for the split. And, I mean, look, we thankfully have not gotten a bunch of 3-0s. That was kind of my worry, especially with how some of the predictions were looking. And at least some of our teams are pushing our top teams to at least innovate a little bit more. And especially with that fearless format like we were talking about, getting to see a whole host of different champions is, at least in the very least, just interesting.
That's the coolest part for me. Is I've gotten cover, obviously, at ACL, a lot of Fearless and kind of the adaptation from regular Fearless to full Fearless. Now we're in a different era of Fearless where bans are still at every single game. Super Omega Fearless. But it's really cool to hear and see how the teams are kind of picking them apart. And speaking of the teams, let's go ahead and start labeling out what our teams are looking like today. We're going to look at LGD here first and foremost. And everybody be thinking, LGD, they know them as maybe a bottom of the table team in the LPL. Well, they're trying to build something new here with 4 rookies coming in for their first splits in the LPL.
This is an exciting roster. I mean, we saw this team play in the Demacia Cup. They almost made it out of that group with EDG. And with 2 members from an LDL championship from last year, I think that there are some exciting players to be looking at, specifically in the jungle. Climber put on, I think, really great performances in all 3 of their games from the Demacia Cup. It's all about the level of development we'll have to see from this roster and whether or not they're really going to hit their strides, I think, in Split 2.
I'm just happy that, the consistent duo is that mid jungle, because if they're going to have any hope really tonight, it's going to have to be some consistency at that role, because when you look on the other side, there's a pretty consistent duo over there. Anyone's Legend, the Demacia Cup champions, coming into LPL 2025 after bringing in reinforcements in Flandre and Tarzan.
Look, they made a big splash in this last year, being able to bring in Tabe as their coach, and from a roster that I think a lot of people would have had maybe top 10, ending up in top 6, top 8. That's pretty good for a roster with Shanks, Hope, and Kael. Now they have Flandre and Tarzan. This is a roster that I know you in particular are a bit excited for, and maybe a dark horse for later on in the season. With their win early on here, I think that this is going to be a good road for them coming into the season.
I highly expect this team to be one of our world's representatives if they can keep their head above the table here. And I think that's going to come off of a lot of crucial members. But keeping that trio on the bot side is always so interesting when you look across the table and you see all these rookies coming in, a new fledged roster for LGD. It's Anyone's Legend who were just trying to give themselves that little bump up to get into that upper echelon of the LPL. And that also brings us to now our predictions moving forward here for this Group A, because I gotta say, I think this group could go a lot of ways. I still highly favor Anyone's Legend, but there's a lot of scrappiness here, Alk.
Come on, man.
No
hope?
No?
No
Yeah,
hope for the boys on LGD?
I don't know. I'm just saying that LGD and Team WE have a very large task ahead of them if they want to try to make it out of single round robin best of fives against a top esports and an Anyone's Legend.
Look, it's playable, and like we saw from some of the other groups, specifically Group C, anything's possible. Look, if the Thunder Talk gamers were able to bring on heat versus LNG again, who knows? Maybe Ultra Prime from yesterday, they got a little spicy with Weibo.
There you go. That was a fun match, by the way. That was a pretty fun match in the end. I think we have our predictions. If not, we could
Yeah,
always
they're
move
from
forward.
they're from our content creators. We have a couple of content creators from other regions, specifically kind of covering the LPL, and it's just a great way to interact with the community, especially the international community, about where they're thinking some of these kind of groups are going to be laying, and it's very fun to just kind of reach out and specifically get to them.
Yeah, and I do believe we may have those at some point, but we could go ahead and talk about the matchup a little bit more because we already kind of alluded to it in some extent. Oh, there it is. We got it.
Yay!
Oh.
Okay. The one criticism I will have for our content creators, love them all, thank you for submitting predictions. There are a lot of groups that ended up looking very, very similar, and a few of them actually being exactly the same, especially that Group D.
Copying homework?
The NIP and IG, yeah, for sure. There were not too many spicy ones. I think the only one we have is, I think one of the content creators has Thunder Talk making it out of that group, which is, again, not in my opinion, a very spicy take. They look good.
Hey, I think Thunder Talk have a real chance, at least of getting into the next stage of things, because it's top 2 of every group that gets through. So 2 teams from each group will be eliminated. That's a lot of teams that aren't going to be playing in the rest of the winter split. But we talked about it a little bit already. My new age Jungle King Tarzan, for anyone's legend, has been on a tear, my man. And I think this guy, obviously not having played a year ago in spring and then coming in to that roster last year on Weibo and having a lot to say in terms of what he was able to provide, but it's going to be a really, really big test of fire for Climber.
For sure. And it was just so interesting, like you were saying, for Tarzan, had that Worlds run in 2023 where I think got a lot of flack.
Was it
for
his
their
fault,
performance
man?
versus T1. No comment. And then in summer, specifically, although the placement games were not looking good, you know, got a little bit of those opening jitters. I mean, look at his top 5 for the last year. Brand, Maokai, Nidalee, Sejuani, and Lilia. I feel like he kind of plays it all. And he had so much proficiency on being able to not only be a tank, but also carry in the AP carry jungle meta, which was really insane to watch. And then we even get to see him in Demacia Cup whipping out stuff like the Zac. It's just impressive what we've seen from Tarzan, and I think the resume he's built, not only in the last year, but the last couple years here in the LPL. And Climber, while he's an exciting prospect coming in from the LDL, you are going to have to prove your stuff if you want to make it here in the LPL.
It's like
you
one of those
have to play against some of the best junglers.
It's like one of those beds of hot coals you have to walk across, you know? You just have to do it. You have to walk
They're just
across.
all Tarzan's face.
It's just all Tarzan, and they're burning you like crazy. Anyways, I do think we have some clips here, and I do believe we'll be starting with Climber first and foremost. But this is a guy who, albeit we're talking so much about how he's a big test against Tarzan and all that stuff, but he's been able to show some stuff himself.
All I can just remember is that first game from Demacia Cup. He's playing Skarner, and he's playing some of the most aggressive Skarner I've seen from Pro. I'm just like, wow, he's flashing forward, trying to land the E. He's going in, and he's just finding really great impales. I've got like a lot of great things that I want to see from Climber in this next coming year. And hopefully, not only against Tarzan, but against some of our other top-level junglers, which, by the way, Lennon, I'm going to tell Kanavi that you just straight up bounced on him. Just like that. You just dropped him for Tarzan.
I said what I said, man. I've been backing Tarzan since he was on LNG, all right? That man, he picked some bad picks at the wrong times, but that was not his fault, all right? I'll be a Tarzan defender for the rest of my life. But I that's not discounting Kanavi whatsoever. But Tarzan, he in my eyes, he's taken the crown from Ning. He's the new age jungle king, baby.
Oh wow, okay, that must have been Ning is old
in LPL, and obviously Ning is a world champion.
What
like
about
you
Tien?
can't take that away from him. But the LDL or LPL, he was considered the jungle king. Now I'd say Tarzan.
So what about Tien then? Like what's going on there?
I mean,
this guy's been on top level
He's pretty good.
rosters. He's plays Pantheon yesterday.
He's done better than
Absolutely
Tarzan traditionally, you know. Just a feeling, Alec. It's just a feeling, bro.
Just like your feeling of AL making it to Worlds, and I respect that. Call your shot. Stick to it.
Yeah, there's a long journey until then. I'm excited to ride that journey. It's going to be interesting. But I think in all actuality, it's the reason I like Tarzan so much is because I just think he has a really good mindset of how to control a game that requires a lot of control. I mean, we've seen so much just absolute voraciousness on the Rift in terms of always fighting, always having objectives to go to, always transitioning around the map. And I think a jungler that can hone that early in this season is going to be super important.
Exactly. For this LGD roster, it is kind of just a test of how much can you actually develop in a really cutthroat format. Like we were just saying, top 2 makes it into playoffs. Bottom 2, you're done for split 1. And then you go into split 2. If you end up as the bottom 2 teams, you're just done for the year. So it's all about being able to fast track some of your progression. I think for all the teams that were able to make deeper runs in Demacia Cup, you got a lot more games under your belt. And I think that is also why, for anyone's Legends, they can be, I think, in my mind, considered an early favorite here. At least in Split 1, they have all those games. They played in the group stage. They have an additional 3 from that. And then they played all of those quarterfinals, semis, and grand finals. You have a lot of data there to be able to build off for the rest of your year.
And I like the caveat is it was a different patch, it's like different setup, but it's still the cohesion that matters, right? I think it's the games played together, because that traditionally has been a bit of a weak point in the LPL is you get new rosters together, maybe they don't function super well. We've had, you know, large blowouts in early parts of seasons. I see Mimi's taking over.
Getting ganked by Mimi.
We got to get the cat cam going, man.
Later.
But
that'll
be
an April Fool's. That'll be our April Fool's.
True.
Sure, guys.
It'll just be Mimi.
True.
But it is something to say that, you know, some of that cohesion, some of that togetherness is super important, especially for any of these rosters. And I think that if we're gonna see something like, again, I expected AL domination today, but if we're gonna see something from this 4 rookie roster in LGD, I think we just have to see little things. I don't think it's gonna be like, oh, they're playing the macro beautifully and it's all like they're all over the place. I think it's gonna be little things. Did you win lane? Did you have a good pathing against a guy like Tarzan for Climber? Like little things are gonna matter more to me for this rookie roster.
We're focusing a lot on Climber just because of how exciting I think his resume has been from LDL, but I will say, from what we saw in Demacia Cup, the rest of this LGD roster looks like they can hang. It's just a matter of, again, like you were saying, against top dogs, against teams that we're expecting to not only top 2 in this group, but also potentially be top 4, top 6 in the entire region. We are going to be expecting them to say, hey, look, your early game might be fine. It's really about that mid and late game decision making, and especially with the new patch, like you were just saying, there's a lot that can change. You might be able to just catch them off on a bad day as well. But
true. Atacon's crazy, man.
Atacon is very broken. Atacon is extremely broken. But yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. And again, like we always go back to the format cuz it's like there's 2 halves to a whole here. It's a heaven and hell cuz you see best of 5, fearless, single round robin, the stakes are high. That's awesome. The best teams, they're going to be fighting tooth and nail, and those series are going to be incredible. But you also think if you're on the bottom end of one of those groups, you literally have 3 best of 5s and your first season is over. And like that is devastating, right? Like that is just not
tough
at all what these players want to have. So I think it's important to get off the ground running early, and I think that's why we put so much onus on this LGD roster.
So, speaking of LGD, let's just keep it rolling. I have some things for the audience. I kind of prepped up a little bit of some ideas for why you should get excited and why LGD are bringing home some silverware to Split 1. First of all,
where'd they get it from?
Almost made top 8 at Demacia Cup. If it wasn't for the spoil sport of EDG, they would have made it into top 8. They probably would have still gotten smacked by Weibo, but that's okay. They're not in this group. You don't have to worry about them. Second, LDL champions in Climber and XQW. I think when you talk about exciting rookies, especially from a mid-jungle, if you bring in these two as a pair, you're hoping that innate synergy and obviously the winning ways can hopefully bring in a little bit of spice and maybe do something, maybe make a big splash here in the LPL. And that experience with full Fearless. LDL was one of the first adopters to a full Fearless format. I think having that in your back pocket is just something that you can go a little bit deeper once we get to longer best of fives?
You know, I always thought I was the owner of the Hopium store. I might have to give that up. I don't know. Like, do you want the keys, Alec? Like,
Yes,
you got some
yes,
serious Hopium there for LGD.
And for long-time LPL fans, you've got Meteor sitting in the back pocket,
Yeah, you
coaching
do.
up Climber. So that right there should be enough for new fans, old fans. Get on the LGD hype train.
Nah, sorry. The train's already here, and it's way bigger, and it's way better. It's Flandre and Co. It's anyone's legend all the way. Again, expected domination tonight. And, hey, you already see some smiles on their faces. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Good.
10
It was
years,
so fun to see
man.
them win. Yeah, he's insane. Almost 800 games in the LPL. It's
That's
a
crazy.
lot of games to be playing here, and some of that international success as well that he's been able to see. But for this AL team, it was so exciting to see them actually win Demacia Cup, only just because so many of the guys haven't actually been able to pick up like a big trophy for themselves. And even seeing someone like Shanks, he's like, do I pick it up? Like, I don't want like, someone else can go and pick it up. It was so cool to see them just like
It was
live
so
and sitting there. And
cute.
the interview afterwards was also a lot of fun, especially Tabe. Tabe had a lot to say about
A
his wife,
lot.
Flandra.
I mean, he was going off, and then Flandre responded with like a two sentence answer. It was so short, but Tabe had a lot to say because one of the biggest things coming into this year is they want to cook. They want to get some chef's hats on. They want to figure out what they can do with this kind of meta, and especially the Fearless system. And they said they have a lot ready and a lot prepped to go. So I'm very interested if we're going to see any of that, or if it's more sticking to tried and true, especially in a matchup like this, where maybe you feel like you're a little bit mechanically better, that you just take the meta stuff and you're able to kind of take that series as a whole. But it's going to be curious. We'll be getting to that best of 5 here soon. But another new entrance to our league in the format in 2025 is side select 1v1s. And if you haven't watched any of them, we've had some really good ones. We've had some really boring ones, but this one should hopefully be fun because we are changing it up. No longer is the map bugged. We are going to have the actual ARAM map for the 1v1 with the fire circle and everything, Alk.
Yep. Ring of Fire. I don't actually remember
Start
the
singing
song.
Johnny Cash.
Yep, there we go. There we go. We'll get to. I don't think we're going to be able to have Johnny Cash, unfortunately. That's extremely copyrighted, and we're already dealing with monetization on that end from
True.
YouTube, so thank you for that one, boys. Yeah, the fact that we get the new map, the fact that we have these 1v1s, I think is more exciting. I think yesterday we got to see, I think from Weibo, that they were like, we're cooking up some stuff, but I don't think the audience is going to be too excited about some of the stuff we have ready for 1v1s. But now that we're on the ARAM map, there is a few different changes from our Summoner's Rift that we've been playing for the past couple of weeks. It is more, I think the biggest one for me, it's first to 2 kills instead of 1. And you get that Ring of Fire, so at the very least, we're only going to maybe see an 8.5-minute game. Obviously, ARAM is also just a more condensed map as well, so
True.
it will hopefully mean that we get more exciting picks, as you can't just literally just scale to infinity if you really want to.
I don't know, man. Flandre has been the culprit of some nasty 1v1 stuff in Demacia. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, we're getting into this now. You obviously have 3 bans a piece, and we'll be getting that in just a second, hopefully.
I saw a
we
Renekton
saw that.
ban.
Yeah,
That's
we saw the
okay.
Renekton. We saw the Ambessa. We have the Heimerdinger ban. So Sasu is feeling like he doesn't want any of the spice from Flandre.
Flandre is definitely the person to cook. If there's anybody here in the LPL, you do not want to be playing against this guy in a solo 1v1.
Nope,
So-
not at all.
Interested to see, just because we've gotten a lot of Corki specifically in a lot of these 1v1s. I wonder if that's maybe an answer to just having to play top lane, and you have so much mobility. Also, Corki with the changes has a lot more skirmishing power. But oh, that's an instant lock coming in
Wow.
from Salsa. It's the Wukong.
Wow. So what I find interesting here is there's 2 approaches to this. There's part of it, I'm watching, the coaches and stuff behind him, like taking notes, like making sure, because it's serious. Side select is super important in a best of 5. And then you have all the
Yeah.
players who are just chilling. Man, what do I lock in here? Vayne top? And do I go Draven? Like, it's all these fun things, but there's a little bit of comedy, a little bit of seriousness to us. And the seriousness here is that it's Wukong versus Graves, a very skirmish heavy matchup.
No way. Of course, Flandre just takes the skin that he gets.
No, it's gonna be Kalista. Come on.
The super last minute timer. Is this like solo queue? I feel like this is like when you go to lock in, it's like 0 seconds for 15 minutes, and you're like, cool.
What?
We get Warwick.
It's the Warwick. Flandre got that dog in him. Is just gonna take the Warwick into the Wukong.
Nah, I'm sorry. I have to dog Rafa for this one. So like you were saying, Rafa was supposed to be here.
He
but,
was
you know,
supposed to
Rafa
be here, man.
Every single time he's like, I want to see Warwick. I think Warwick's OP. The one time he misses it, Warwick gets
I'm just
slammed in.
saying, he told me that if Warwick gets logged in, we got to do like an emergency sub and get him into it. It's a 1v1, so I don't know if it counts to that level, but you know, or just get him in here for the TriCast with 2 play-by-plays. It'd be a good time. No, but it should be interesting now that he's picked up this Warwick. You have a lot of sustain in that 1v1, but I still do expect it to be skirmish heavy.
I mean, Warwick is an insane beast for that by himself. He has so much lifesteal that he has, the ability to move through. Even if Wukong were to just use his clone, hold down the Q, boom, you're following this guy all the way through. He has so much skirmishing potential, the damage reduction that he gets. I think he's a very potent 1v1er, and Wukong can eventually match that, but early game, I just want to see like a level 2 all-in. Wukong does nothing until like level 3 for the skirmishing.
We have the ARAM map. Let's go.
There we go.
Oh, it's going to be fun. I'm so excited. The first time we're getting this one. Immediately starting off with the Executioners there. Just knowing that you have to have that heal kit against the Warwick. He played in steel calves, bro.
Dude. Flandre, please. You already gave me tank Jace, brother. Do not give me this.
All right, so a couple of rules breakdown if you're new to the 1v1s. It is first tower, first to 100 gold, or first 2 kills, unless we're in the overtime timer with the Ring of Fire, where it's just first kill wins that one. And we're going to be getting into the skirmishing here soon, Alec. What do you have as anticipation here? You think Flandre's Warwick just got it?
I think Warwick is just way too OP. Even with the Executioners, I just don't think it's enough. It also is very little AD, so that with the Doran's Blade, I think that Flandre has a lot of healing. He can get it off of the minions. He also has the Blood Boil, or the Seeking for Blood on his W. I think it's really strong here. That Armor Crush, however, from Sasa is putting in work.
It's doing work, man. Sasu's got a little bit of an angle here. Getting a little bit of poke damage. Obviously, Flandre's healing up a decent amount, and he's absolutely winning the pushing aspect of this one, but Sasu looking to buy a lot of time here. And imagine going into your first day in the LPL, and you have to 1v1 Flandre, one of the longest standing members in the league.
Yeah. Also, Ignite's already used. That's a huge win here for Flandre. And so if health packs do spawn, this isn't like old 1v1s where there was just singular. It's going to be the AoE
there it
ones.
is.
Oh, Flandre.
Oh, he's going in for the all-in. Now he's getting a lot of healing back from that clone. Did see the Ignite burn by Flandre there, as well as the barrier. So there's still barrier for Sasu. Maybe trying to use this turret, but Flandre is healing so much.
Yeah, this champion is just so broken. Level 5. I want to see what he's maxing. Okay, so he's maxing the Q. He's getting as much healing from this ability as possible. This is going to be difficult. I mean, he's almost level 6 here. You can just straight up ult Sasa.
Does he just
and
immediately
that's
ult?
going to be the 1v1. Yes.
Insta level 6?
Do it. Do it.
Do it. Do it.
If Flandre misses it, it's very
Listen
funny.
to Emperor Palpatine. Do it. No, he's not going to do it. I think Sasu's trying to bait him a little bit. Now the Cyclone is available, so this could not work for Flandre. He's getting knocked up in the turret shot. And Sasu, his first kill of the LPL split's going to be in the 1v1 against Flandre.
Oh my god. Well, there's one more. And honestly, Sasa, right now, run it down, brother. He has 10 seconds before Flandre respawns. You can even... Oh, there's no base teleporter as well. I don't see the teleport thing on the mini-map there. Oh, and you can also recall. Yeah. Okay, so this is extremely
you can
broken.
always recall in the 1v1s.
Never mind. You can no longer run it down. I no longer advocate for the run it down strat.
I was almost there with you. It's so funny to watch Flandre feel... I don't know if it's embarrassment, but he's definitely like, he's chuckling to himself that he lost that first one. Took like 3 turret shots there. And the Cyclone usage, really nice from Sasu. Showed some mechanics early. Maybe this top lane tussle is going to be a lot more fun in the best of 5.
Yeah, it depends on how many games of tank random X champion.
One.
We saw tank Jace yesterday as well, coming out from Breathe, so it's not looking good for top lane right now. I'm scared for all of my fellow carry top laners. the reason why we're kind of getting hyped for this, and obviously side select, like you're saying, is important. I think it is just because blue side has so many options. There are a lot of really strong blind picks, and in a best of 5, getting the ability to say, hey, if game 5, if we're the ones that lose it, we're going to have side select, that's really, really big. And red side has just been, I think, locked down with so many must-need bans like the Skarner and the Rumble.
Yeah. I'm going to be very curious to see which kind of big meta picks over the last couple of days are still going to be at the top of the ban list. Because I'm just wondering when we initially get that transition of, okay, we're going to let the OPs go through in the first couple games so that we can even out the rest of the games. Because right now it just feels like all teams are fighting for those early couple games.
Yeah,
and trying to make
Ash,
sure that they can get
Varus,
safety.
Ash Varus every game, like game 1 is great.
Yeah.
The strategy similar to like you were saying, I'm ready for game 1 mages. That right there is going to be that'll be the first team to pull out game 1 mages. Just means that Ash or Varus is going to be available later on in the series, and that ends up kind of throwing out the balance. But Flandra's getting ran in this game. I thought Warwick would be much stronger. Maybe it's just because I'm an AD carry player and Warwick is literally a disgusting dog that runs me down every time. But
literally?
in this one, he looks kind of, well, if it's Vander, I'm willing to be a little more, calm about it. I'm more chill about it, but most people are not Vander.
Pour one out for Vander. If you haven't watched Arcane, then shame on you.
Yeah, I mean, but they like, that was so teased from even season 1. Sauce is putting hands on him. Has the
He
Ignite
really
cycle
is. He
coming
needs
up.
one more
We might
kill.
just have LGD with the game with the
No
win here.
way. Flandra's trying to heal, but I gotta say this Cloud Strike is doing serious work. There's the Infinite Duress, though. Sasu in a little bit of trouble. Flandra wants to go all in, but the level advantage is still there, and Sasu pushing in a little bit more. We're halfway to the 100 CS mark, and Sasu wants to go for the kill. Got the Ignite. Flandra has no mana, but he's not going to be able to get the kill there, and Sasu gets very low as well. Not able to use his second Cyclone.
Oh, the
barrier.
barrier!
There's the Ignite. Combos there. Barrier back from Sasu, and Sasu claims the 2-0 kill victory over Flandre.
Flandra fights in the minion wave. A huge win. And part of the
He's so
1v1s
happy.
that I think is so fun is that your teammates are piped in with your audio. You have your coaches that are standing behind you that you can also hear. So it literally just feels like you're playing with the boys. And unfortunately for Flandra, he's got the boys saying, all right, well, we lost side select. Nice job, man.
I'm loving the dynamic that these 1v1s give to the teams. It just makes them feel so personable. Like, honestly, it feels like there's a little bit of embarrassment, a little bit of laughing embarrassment from anyone's legend, but
Yeah.
Sasu just, like, triumphantly just getting hype about it. I love that kind of stuff. So, LGD will have side select. Obviously, choose blue. That is the only way to go right now if you win the 1v1. And we'll see what that offers them. Again, you were already talking about some of the draft bans and things, but we also want to talk a little bit more about the priority in terms of what these two teams are looking for, Alk.
Yeah, when we look at these two teams, the big thing for both of them, for anyone's legend, I think the fact that they got red side is actually not all that bad. They really preferred on giving Flandra counter for whatever champion he goes for. We haven't seen a lot of Callista from them, so that'll be kind of my interest to see whether or not in this series we'll see that. And for LGD, no Aurora priority, which is really interesting because every single one of our LPL teams so far has at least tinkered or explored this champion, and she does look pretty strong. So I wonder what LGD's read is going to be, especially going throughout the season.
And if they just kind of rely on comfort in a lot of ways. Obviously, you can't do that as much because it is full fearless, so you can't play the same
And best of
champion over and
fives.
over
You're
again.
going to have to play
And
at least
best of
3
fives.
champions.
So I think that does hinder rookies to some extent if they're looking for comfort, but we saw that in ACL, obviously not this same level, but I think it still is a factor of, get comfort if you're falling down in the series, or if you just want to get comfort early, but be able to be flexible. And maybe we see an adaptation in that mid lane, because I do seriously think that this series itself is going to be dictated by the mid jungle duo.
For sure. I mean, we talk about Shanks and Tarzan. Surprisingly, a really great duo. I thought that maybe with how Shanks tends to play, and with I think the caliber that we've seen from Shanks, that this may have been a one where Tarzan's pulling a lot of weight and then Shanks kind of falls behind. But he's been more than willing to kind of fall into a mid lane position that is a bit more supportive. I wouldn't say Tarzan is pulling out like massive carry performances from the jungle, but it's very interesting to see these two work together because they clear through mid, walk into enemy jungle, walk into other sides of the map, and get a lot of work done. So I'm excited to see what this AL team can do, especially when we talk about the fact that, yes, they brought in Flandre and Tarzan. They had Tabe from last year. How far does this roster go?
And you know that starts with, I know something you wanted to talk about, is giving Flandre that counter pick. Like, giving him the resources to be able to be effective in that top lane and have influence on the map. Now we get into picks and bans of our first game of this best of 5, our Group A kickoff, and it's going to be Ashe Callista banned out on that blue side. There you go, just predicted. And the Skarner Rumble banned on that red side by Anyone's Legend.
Okay, interesting. We're seeing an Ashe ban on blue side here, especially because it's been super powerful. So LGD, what exactly are we angling for? Is this going to just be a first pick Varus and then kind of set the shift off of like Ashe will eventually be available later on in the series? I think Vi is a really great takeaway. It's one of Tarzan's best champions, and for someone that's going to be a big driver, that's going to be something that we're going to have to watch for in this series. And there we go. AL, no. They got rid of it.
They want it like one of the further games down the road. You know, they're like, we don't want to just give Cliver this Vi early on. But this is one of the picks that you were talking about, has to kind of be first rotation in the first game of the series that we've seen so far in the LPL. Just because it provides so much versatility and so much damage. The Varus is locked in for LGD and Xiaoya.
All right, AL. Couple of interesting kind of stuff that we can bring out here. I think if you're immediately looking for a really easy combo to play and something that we have seen from them, Orianna Nocturne, very easy to pilot. And depending on what Sauce is going to go for, maybe we get some more spiciness. I'll hold off from that for Flandre to see what exactly is going on. And wow, we're just slamming it immediately.
This
Blind Jace.
This man, 10 years in, he's just like, nah, pick me the Jace first. I'll go tank. They'll see it coming, but I'll still hit him like a ton of bricks.
I mean, they need to nerf Jace passive, unfortunately. They actually just need to nerf tank items, but I'm also okay with maybe a Jace nerf in as well. But all right, so Corki, they get early skirmishing from the bottom lane, and it is a flex between him and Shanks.
I think that's huge, the flex that you mentioned. I think this is also big. Not only is Cassante obviously still Cassante, but it's also a very heavy comfort pick for Sasu. So giving him something where he can actually thrive against Flandre is going to be super massive for them.
It's crazy when we look at how big of a splash Cassante made when you talk about how recently he's come out in the grand scheme of League of Legends. And for Sasa, it's like career all-time on Cassante, most played, 15 and 13. And in the last year, 10 and 5. 15 of those games in the last year is insane.
That's
We're getting
wild,
Aurora
actually.
here for LGD, which is, again, first time seeing for this team. And Shanks with the auto-lock-in of the Akali.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it's something that he used to be able to pick up back in the days of WE occasionally. But I'm really interested now what this mid lane is going to mean to the jungle matchup and how impactful it's going to be. As we already said, that's going to be the big spotlight for tonight. But we're in the second phase of bans already. It is the Renata banned away by Anyone's Legend first and foremost. So it's trying to take away those utility support picks.
So it's double range matchups that you're really scared of as Corki. He has a great skirmishing power, especially at level 2 and level 3. But if you're going to be playing against stuff like Caitlyn, against stuff like Varus, I think it's a great takeaway. What I'd like to see from AL is either some kind of melee support that's going to be able to enable their team, or something that can kind of get in the face of someone like Sasa and this Aurora. Going to be very dangerous. AL can play at range, but they need some kind of front line that's going to be able to dive with them.
They just need to have a little bit of a cohesive team comp in that regard. I do also actually tangentially kind of like the Poppy ban. Just taking away some of the mobility shutdowns that they can have, but also Poppy is just really annoying to have. And honestly, you'd rather have it on the Anyone's Legend side, especially Tarzan's Poppy. But the focus for LGD here, maybe still looking at that support pool, maybe trying to whittle down those engagers. But no, it's going to be the Nocturne ban.
Nocturne ban to try to help out versus the jungle matchup here. Seems like they're going to give support counter pick here for Kael.
Okay.
Interesting to see Wukong the lock-in for Tarzan. I mean, this 2v2 is going to be very dangerous early on, and against someone like Aurora. Aurora has a lot more damage, but if the Akali can get in underneath, that could potentially be an issue, especially inside lanes for the side of LGD. We'll see what they're going to be going for on the back end of this draft. Again, they really need, I think, a really great tank here. I think Braum actually slots in very, very well. You still have the likes of Nautilus, but Nautilus has been really falling through on priority here in the LPL.
Has, and it is a serious comfort for YCX, but maybe looking to go with something a little bit more in that range regard. I think that would obviously be a huge case, but maybe trying to shore up a little bit more for themselves, because right now when you look at the composition, you do have a lot of standoff damage, but you need a little bit more follow through in between, and the Rel does provide that. I maybe would have liked the Braum or the Bard a little bit better, but the Rel is going to be a mainstay.
All right, Kyle, what is your options here? I think the Bard is interesting. It lets you have a range 2v2, and against Rel, it's something that potentially offers a bit more. Rakan is something that the laning phase might be a little bit weaker, but that instant react, that snap engage that you have, especially with someone like Tarzan, allows for a lot of playmaking potential coming out from anyone's legend. I don't know, Lennon. I'm kind of seeing this, and while I do like what LGD have brought for themselves, that first punch is going to have to be a knockout, and AL, they have strength in some of their side lanes. Tank Jace is going to be particularly very potent this game, and we're getting Hope on a great AD carry. I mean, he has had, so far, a pretty great start to the 2025 season, both in Demacia Cup and hopefully here in Split 1.
It's so funny, though, to me. When you look at LGD's comp, you're like, ease of execution. You have a lot of champions that just win on their own if you're in a good position, right? You have the Cassandra, you have the Aurora. You need to set those up in a lot of cases, but they are picks that will have massive impact around team fights. Whereas you look on the board, anyone's legend, mechanically maybe on paper better, they also are giving themselves a little bit of a handicap. These like, if you get behind on the Akali, you are not going to be useful. You're going to have to find those advantages or at least stay on level playing field for anyone's Legends comp.
I feel bad for Tarzan because he's going to have to play with no mid priority. Bot lane is pretty tough. You can maybe go even with phosphorus bombs, but yeah, I don't know. I would say mid priority is kind of fake, just because if you're willing to play stuff like Akali and the like, you probably are not too worried about pushing a minion wave in the first, 5 to 10 minutes of the game. They have a lot of skirmishing power, and it's all about that kind of being able to play on your level 6s around the 10 to 15 minute mark because of things like the Otacon spawning, things like the early grubs, and again, something we didn't mention, the feats of strength, which if you have missed out on this early season, feats of strength, just new keys to jingle in front of all of your objective players.
All the new keys. I call it busted can of biscuits, League of Legends, all the stuff you could ever ask for in this, and all the LPL action you could ever want. We're into the first game of this best of 5 Group A smackdown between LGD and anyone's legend.
All right, 5-point start here coming in early game. What I want to see from LGD, we'll set a few goals for them, especially as the team that we are expecting to be the underdogs in this series. I want to see early aggression coming out from Climber, not just on his Lee Sin, but just across the whole series. And as long as we see this LGD team get out of the laning phase in a pretty decent manner, I think that we could maybe see this team start to push AL. It's very early on to say, but I think with the composition that they have for themselves, they've given them, given LGD anyway, some tools to be able to push AL.
Yeah, I agree, and they're going to need to. I think if you can push the right buttons against AL's comp, you can make it fall apart. But if you just let it sit there, it's going to stew into a wonderful meal, I guess. But they are going for the level 1. They are going to be responded to immediately, though, by anyone's legend. Kyle already up here, going to get the crash down from YCX. Kyle going for the engage. Climber getting very low, and Shanks has the angle. This is not good.
What's
Climber
going on,
low.
guys?
Climber going down. Shanks with first blood for anyone's legend.
I was like, okay, we went for the lane swap tech by having Cassante sit in the bottom lane. They were trying to avoid on this matchup. I just don't know what Climber was going for. Like, we have to clear out all of this. It was going to be a late invade going into that top side. And now Climber down for the first blood, down his flash as well. This just gives AL so many options to play for in this early game. They know that the enemy jungle is going to be behind in his pathing. And that is such a boon for someone like Tarzan.
This is the kind of thing you don't want to have happen when you're a rookie composition against a well-tenured composition. And here we go, the kickoff of what just happened.
Also, Jace is just really OP here. Being able to swap in between his forms, he has the penetration that is applied upon his teammates. So just a really great job from them. They get the first blood over to Shanks, and that is also going to be a feat of strength completed. So now it's up to AL. Do they go for the first turret? Are they going to have access to those first 3 epic monsters? And the boot upgrades just make it all the much sweeter.
That's what I was just about to talk about. Since we are in the new season, we're still in the first week, I get to talk a little bit about it. Set us up a little bit of what we're looking at in the early games. You have those feats of strength. You already talked about the boots, things like that. We are also looking at how much blood is spread across the map and seeing where Otacon is going to start spawning later into the game as well.
Ah, man. It's a lot of the Otacons have actually been spawning in topside, and part of that is just because of having to play against doing the lane swaps a lot, but yeah, Otacon has just been so strong. We've almost only gotten Voracious across the 2 competitive leagues in Tier 1 that are playing currently, both in LCK and here in the LPL. So, I don't know. I'm waiting kind of for the next patch here where they're going to hopefully tune this down. Because the Voracious free GA that you get for 2 minutes is really game warping.
Especially in the LPL when you already want to fight all the time.
Oh,
and now you have a GA, and we get a little fight in the top lane, 2v2. Piercing arrow going to hit onto both. Now Hope has to run away. He's out of cooldowns, going down, and there's the response kill from LGD. I asked, can LGD's bot lane do anything against Kyle and Hope? And there's your answer, Alk.
There we go. Xiaoya immediately goes for the flash. He misses out or dodges on Kael's grand entrance, and that sets up for the rest of that fight to be in their favor. A kill back in trade for LGD. Also getting all of the summoners out from this bottom lane. Maybe Climber could reintroduce himself to this game by heading towards this top lane and looking for some early action. Shanks, however, we haven't really talked about it just because we've been talking about some other, doing some house cleaning around the map.
Oh, well,
let's go.
Too late, Alk. He's already gone. Can't talk about him while he's dead.
XQW has done such a great job, and this is part of the matchup that we talked about from the draft. Akali, though you can have some great burst damage, I mean, just this Aurora is so oppressive, especially with the Electric Q. Great job from XQW.
And that is the LDL winning mid laner from 2024. As we look back at the 2v2 in the top side, Hope and Kyle losing out.
Ah, man. It's so dangerous because, especially for Varus, when you're getting these resets from finishing off the Blight procs, you're going to get your spells coming up that much sooner. And Shanks is just stuck under his mini wave. This happened during the level 1 as well. XQW was actually zoning Shanks away, had to make him force the flash early on to get that first blood, and despite that, Shanks had to recall, come back to the lane. XQW was there, has that lane presence. Great job from him. Gets the level 6 first. Maybe this opens up some early grubs here for LGD.
And the thing is about the Akali is before level 6, you have to trade your health very heftily to even try to get presence in lane, and just works to your detriment, and you start to question the Akali matchup into the Aurora and how much power XQW is going to have, because this was a pick that we said would win no matter what, and LGD looking for even more on the top side. Get a double piercing arrow there, and the hail of arrows can also do a little bit more damage on the back end. Climber showing his face up here right before the grub spawn.
I think that was a really big ask coming in from YCX. I mean, yeah, we're going for the flash, but unless Hope had already burned the Valkyrie, he should just be out of there. Same thing with someone like Kyle with this Rakan. So not having the flash on Rel, I think, should become an issue once we get, in the next few minutes. Dragon being taken on the opposite side here by anyone's legend. And if they can try to punish this, it is a Rel. Rel did get changed in the past couple months. She has a fair bit less of movement speed, especially when she's off of her Iron Horse. And I do kind of want to see Tarzan, now that he does have level 6, he has a lot of lanes that he can play for, just needs that setup.
And if this composition is going to have any success, he needs to be proactive in that sense now that he has gotten that level 6. Him and Kyle going to be looking to roam around the map. Tarzan is going to be spotted on this ward, though, giving a lot of information over to LGD. And I got to say, I got to be proud for LGD. I mean, it's only 7 minutes into the first game of the series, but we've actually seen them have pretty good macro decision making and knowing when to pressure.
I think the point
besides
for
the first
LGD
one
right now, the first blood happens, okay? For all the junglers out there with the new feats of strength, you just know that it's just going to be a coin flip. You just look at bot lane, you're like, cool, my bot laners are fighting. All right, well, there goes our first blood feat. But they've also just been winning a lot of the hand straights. I think that's why we see them in at least a even game state and maybe slightly advantageous when you see that they've already lane swapped Xayah back down into the bottom lane. He'll have access first to hitting this turret if he wants. See it also, I like how LGD, specifically their bot lane, is linking up with Climber. Everywhere that they have priority, Climber is ready to go.
Climber looking to be as proactive as possible. Keep the ball in his side of the court as XQW also coming down. A great combination between these two guys, and Kyle has been left out on a limb here as Hope has to watch, and they're going to proxy this wave. Kyle needs to figure out a way to get through this wave or figure out a way to survive as Tarzan and Shanks are coming down. They've decided it is fight night round 2, and we're getting right into it. A little bit hesitant to pull it off, but LGD, they are committing to this. That's going to be a massive cyclone from Tarzan, but he's getting bursted out immediately. Some healing coming through, but XQW is way too big right now. Shanks going for the play of his life and gets one. Xiaoya's already down. Now going to have to force his flash. Now Climber is about to get knocked up. Does not. Gets the flash out himself. Climber getting low. Hope has been untouched this whole time, but so has XQW. Unfortunately, he's out of mana now. He will be backing away. YCX will be the last to fall, and Hope will pick up the stragglers.
Oh my god. Look, XQW has so much of this gold, so the burden of carrying is going to have to lay on his shoulders.
The bunny of carrying.
Man, I don't know how I feel about that. I want to kind of take a look in the replay as to kind of how all of that shook out. We got to see the fact that YCX, the fact that he doesn't have flash, does mean he goes down. If we get to start this play, why does it just feel, Lennon, like there was just no damage here? Xiaoya is not getting hit by very many of the targets, and while eventually it does take Shanks with full combo to burst out on Varus, I feel like AL lost too much health very early on in that fight, and specifically Tarzan, the Cyclone, did not get as much as I think they would have wanted.
Yeah, I think he saw that grouping and just wanted to try to get the big play, but it didn't end up working out the way they wanted to. Really good reactionary moves from LGD, and those are the kinds of hands you're going to have to keep up with a team like this, and they're not keeping up. They're ahead.
There we go. So 45 seconds before the next grub spawn is going to be here. That'll be potentially 6 here, and a second epic monster if we're talking about feats of strength. I want to see XQW look for a recall soon, as he should be having his Luden's companions ready, and if he has that before this fight, that's a massive power influx coming in for LGD that AL are not going to be ready to deal with.
I think that's super important as well. Not only kind of the feats of strength addition there, but the 6 grubs can do a lot if you aren't able to contest that one. You can kind of see with some of the map movements, speaking of Sasu.
Sasa, yes! Proxy this guy. You know that the topside fight is going to happen.
Flandre, the ultimate proxier.
Just do it, bro. That's what I like to see. Get in their face, cut the mini wave off very early, and he can move first. Sasa does not have teleport here. Flandre does. LGD are going to start off on these grubs. Tarzan is in the area, but guess who has moved first in mid? It's going to be XQW and the solo laners of LGD.
Yeah, this is tough for AL. If they go into this one, they're going to be contesting super late. Maybe they just don't want to give over 6, but they're already giving over 5. They're going to TP with Flandre in. They immediately go for the engage there. Big grand entrance on the back as Flandre comes and joins. Tarzan's getting low. He gets smote, and Climber takes the kill now. XQW is dodging and weaving in the fight. Shanks finally going for it. Big knock up there, but he gets yeeted away. And now Hope trying to clean up some of the kills, but Flandre has the backline access now. Shanks finally come to join. Hope will not be the one to get the kill as 10-year Flandre gets a double kill.
Ah, man, the kills start to equalize out, but it is 5 grubs, like we mentioned at the beginning of that fight. Sasa doing a great job of being able to zone out Shanks from the rest of it, and LGD came in with that first punch. We said coming in from this draft that knockout punch at the beginning of the fight had to be huge, and Tarzan, despite some early woes, we were like, okay, look, you killed Climber, you're able to get early vision on enemy jungle. Tarzan on this Wukong has not quite looked as impenetrable.
Yeah, no, not at all. Honestly, some of the engages have been a little bit wonky there. And knocking a little bit of the rust off for anyone's legend after claiming that Demacia Cup victory, but they do know how to scrap.
All right, so this starts off with, I think, still a great ultimate from Tarzan. Hope, quite unfortunately, is not able to deal damage, and while he's getting tanked up by YCX. Yeah, Shanks, I love this. I was watching this in the bottom right corner, and it's just flash out from Sasa. Wow. I think that's actually huge, though, because if Shanks gets in there with the ultimate, with the shuriken flip, that's just a bona fide ace coming on through.
Yeah, I mean, they all had like 400 health left, and he had full combo ready to go. So really big save figure there from the rookie top laner for LGD. And Dragon did get started up here. We're looking at maybe some more scuffles, but mid lane priority could be the case for LGD.
5 grubs means that they can take first turret. That'll be a feat of strength. If they're able to grab this dragon as well, that'll just be all of them going over to LGD in one fell swoop. So 2 turret plates now shared between the bottom lane here. Oh, XQW.
Yeah, Oh, he goes a little bit too far there, but the turret's...
That's first turret.
Oh, the minion! Is it going to be enough? They just focus it down. There's first turret for LGD. They'll claim that feat of strength for themselves.
Now they've bullied them off of the mid wave. They can concede towards the bottom side of the map. LGD are just going to get all of the feats of strength here very early on at 13 minutes. Great job coming in from LGD. They're trying to sneak it in. Too many wards.
Yeah.
They don't know if someone's going to be able to TP in on this play, so a bit afraid, redeploying back out on the map. And instead of maybe the dragon, maybe there's a focus towards this Rift Herald. Again, 5 grubs. It's a big win.
What do you do, man? You beat him in the 1v1. You took out Shanks in the last fight. You returned to lane, and Flandre just smacking you with Jace tank. No big deal, I guess. Doing so much damage. He's up 30 farm. Flandre's going to have a big say in this game, but we're going to look in the 1v1. XQW going
Shanks,
over to
no!
Climber. His LDL championship duo there, but we'll get Shanks' flash out. So that'll be a returned cooldown, no doubt.
But Shanks doing that actually buys time. Climber moved off of the dragon. Tarzan can now shift over. We're already seeing Kyle and Hope redeploy out onto the map and take over from the mid lane position. Seems like instead, not enough reinforcements. Teleport coming in here from XQW. AO are looking like they want to try and contest this. Maybe after the wave in top lane, Flandre will look for a teleport when it's back up.
Oh, Xiaoya overextended. Kyle coming over. He just got the quickness back up as Xiaoya just dies to mispositioning. This is the feat of strength fight right here, right now. And LGD do not have the gas in the tank to continue.
All right. Thankfully for them, AL actually don't have any other epic monsters. They have 2 dragons, and they've got a single grub. So they still need to be able to either finish off the Rift Herald that's going to be here in about a minute and a half, or maybe we wait all the way until Otacon. I don't think that's going to happen, but we have had some slow games here and there.
True, we have, which is, a sad thing, I guess, anytime you talk about LPL and being slow. But
true.
That's why we added more objectives. That's why we have a Rift Herald coming out in a minute. We have to force these teams to fight Alk, and there is also going to be the Otacon on top side.
Ooh, dangerous position. All of the terrain that Otacon spawns for the rest of the game, I think, is really interesting. I think it makes entering from either side very difficult, especially from blue side in top lane. It's difficult to get into this side of the map and enter into Otacon if the enemy opponents are already started. So Otacon is so fun, honestly. Like, barring just the buff being really broken, it's a miniature Baron that you get to play for. It shreds your HP and armor, so you're not really safe. It doesn't feel like Rift Herald did when it first kind of came out. And I kind of like that. I like them all being vaguely distinct from each other instead of just Rift Herald, Prime, and Beta and all that stuff.
True. Just give you a little bit of different flavor as well to the map itself, and as well as like little bounties and stuff here and there. I think that's really cool.
Do you remember Double Herald?
I do.
That was terrible.
We always had fun with what the name of the second Shelly was, because
Shelly and Herald.
It was Shelly's like long lost cousin or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, XQW. So this might just be a little bit of an instinctual thing, because he just uses that between worlds to get out. I saw him attempt to do that on that bot lane play as well, and he's really, really versed in how to use that as an escape tool, as the Rift Herald being forced out of AL's hand
they
by
get it, though.
LGD. And now they look for the fight after Kyle dies before he can even get the grand entrance off. XQW is looking for the angle and gets the pull back with the twofold hex, and LGD are fighting this one tooth and nail.
Big win for them. It's going to be a huge objective fight. Them being able to pick that up. Oh, wait a minute. You need to finish the camp. They never finished the grubs, so that it doesn't count as 3. Oh my god.
Oh, and then
it's
Shanks just gets a 1v1. All right, I take back what I said in draft Shanks. I said if you didn't win early, you'd lose. Well, Climber might be looking to kill you, but you just got a 1v1 against SQW, who was 5-0 before that. You do die, so Climber gets a little bit of recompense there for his mid laner, but that's a big pickup kill in the side lane for Shanks.
Those are big shutdowns as well, going over to 2 separate members, one for Shanks, one for Climber. We'll see how that impacts, especially for Climber. If you can get to second item a bit earlier than Tarzan, you already see has the Phage, has the Kindle Gem, close to a Black Cleaver here, which is going to make a pretty big difference in terms of damage. We'll see if he's able to hit that before the next objective. 2 minutes before the Dragon and the Otacon. This has to be what spawns the Feat of Strength. That has to be the final one here, as either one of these teams picking it up will give them those bonuses and the tier upgraded boots.
Let's take a look back at that top lane fight. So it's LGD trying to force the hand of the Herald here.
Okay. So it's a, oh my god, it's the Tempest coming out from Climber that ends up stealing it or grabbing it for themselves. Tarzan just never could get into position. The engage coming in from Kyle. Kyle and Tarzan have kind of a tough job. There's no true tank except for this Jace that's in the top lane, but Flandra is almost never here when the fight starts, so you don't have someone who can stand in front. Kyle and Tarzan need to find snap engages, and that just hasn't been the case when there is a Rel. Even with Climber here, so many great ultimates from LGD stop the fact that AL can look for engages. So far, LGD look great. We'll see over this next objective if they're able to grab themselves feats of strength. And this is about the early game that I think is a little unexpected, but not from the performance we got from LGD in Demacia Cup.
Yeah, no, not at all. Climber goes for the early game.
He's dead.
Kyle, he's trying to use the quickness out. He does make it away. Now you have the TP coming in from Flandre. TP in response from Sassu. And maybe trying to get a little bit more reinforcement for his team. I love some of the looks that Climber's going for. He's playing very on the edge. And obviously, if he gets caught, it's not going to look too great. But being able to play with your surroundings is huge.
Look
and
at
now
this!
the Atacon, speaking up, playing with your surroundings. Shanks going to use his perfect execution combo to get away.
Huge find. Now Shanks has to invest the teleport. Tarzan is covering him on the top side of the map. Dragon spawning now in 5 seconds. Otacon's not going to be done in time. You already see LGD moving on. They're going to push this mid wave. Now that they've also gotten the mid-tier one, they can very easily get mid-control and look for this Dragon. The fight for feats of strength is going to be huge. Shanks can continue to push, but look at where Kyle is. They're not going to be able to contest for this.
It's going to be very difficult if they even try to do so.
Ooh.
They got the Rift Herald in mid lane from LGD, going to put the pressure even more. And Shank's going to be forced to get his back off there. They could look to pressure mid lane more so as they try to potentially go for the charge. XQW looking for a little bit of damage on Tarzan there as well. They could just pull back to the Dragon now, and that's what they'll do.
Yep, they got their charge. They also still have 5 grubs, which is going to be very dangerous for them to deal with. You see AL, they are moving towards the top side of the map. I don't think they have quite enough damage here, especially now with Varus and Lee Sin being able to finish this up. These are going to be upgraded boots coming in for LGD with the take of this Dragon, and also stopping AL potentially from getting an early Dragon Soul here in this game.
It's going to be actually so massive for them. To just stop that, give an extra 5 minutes is actually so huge. And something I've been wanting to set up for the last little bit is just kind of a look ahead to what could be possible for the rest of the game. LGD has had a consistent lead, although a small one for a lot of this game. But it is a squad of 4 rookies in the LPL against a very seasoned squad in anyone's legend. This is where late game can become a little bit chaotic, and this is where I'm looking for LGD to be on their aces and be able to have that uptick against AL.
They cannot get... my worry for LGD is they're going to lose one big team fight, and that's going to kind of break the game for AL. They're going to be able to know, hey, we have to play on these waves. Let's make sure that we're pushing out, controlling around objectives, and LGD are going to feel a little bit lost. My eyes are going to immediately be drawn to Climber and YCX from the support position, especially in later game spots. You need to be knowing, hey, where can I get vision? What's the best spot for our solo lanes to be getting TPs? For Climber, it's going to be, how can I be playing around objectives and forcing my team to rally around me and make sure that we're able to close this game out if they are going to be able to win. The gold is very even, which coming into the series, we thought that this was going to be a stomp from our Demacia Cup champions, and it has been anything but.
It really has. It's been a lot of these rookies on LGD actually showing up, and it's been really fun to watch. Now, I got to ask you, since LGD has gotten the feats of strength, what is your favorite new boot?
Favorite, like in the terms to hate, it has to be the Sorkpen boots. I think they're just really strong.
My favorite to get are the Swifties, because they make me fast on Jhin.
The flat movement speed that you get from these boots are really fun. I will say, while they are pretty bad on power rate, Gunmetal Greaves, the upgraded tier 3 boots of Berserkers.
Oh, yeah, those are
so
cool.
much
The
fun.
shield.
Getting a free, getting the Phage passive for
Oh,
those
yeah,
Greaves
yeah,
is
yeah,
really
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
I love getting more getting more movement speed. Movement speed is by and far away the most skill indicative stat, because the more movement speed you have, the better you should be able to miss out on skill shots from your opponents and outplay.
All right, our new bloodletting objective is ready to go. Atacon is spawned in the top side. We have teams already focusing around it, at least LGD. There is always the threat to start up, but once you start that thing up, Atacon does a ton of damage. So you have to be ready to finish it and not be responded to. Right now, LGD have a lot of control over the top side of the map, and they're looking at Shanks under turret.
I love what they've been doing here. LGD, they know, take control of mid, and then we can look elsewhere onto the map. And they've been doing that on repeat this game. Thanks to them being able to grab the Rift Herald and take mid tier 1, I think they've done a really great job of controlling the correct side of the map for whichever corresponding objective they want to play for, whether it's the Dragon or the Heralds and the Grubs. So far, so good for LGD. And I know we've been talking about it from their side, but for anyone's Legend, they still have a lot of game to play here. I mean, 2 items here on Shanks. We have the finished Muramana here for Hope. So if on these 2 item cores they find a good fight for themselves, I think the game is still very much in their position. And we haven't talked about him too much. What are we looking? Oh, we're looking at grass procs for our 2 top laners. This is crazy. I don't think we've ever, at least in my time of watching in the past couple of years, I don't think we've actually seen the observers just straight up pull up the rune pages and start going through them. They're real interested in our 2 top laners here, which, hey, it's tank Jace. Not my style, but I
Was
can get
that
it.
like 7? One of them had a lot more than the other.
That was Jace. And I'm
pretty
Jace,
sure it was
because Jace is just
Flandre.
playing
That's
ranged.
ridiculous. Like, the difference in the stacks is actually insane. Like, oh my god. I just don't understand. Like, this is such a boon for anyone's Legend just to be able to whip this out one game in a best of 5 Fearless, and there's just not a real answer to it, I feel like.
You can either go the route of like trying to out-tank Jace and be more useful in team fights, which I tend to agree with, especially with how LPL is played, or you can try to be really greedy and look for carries. Now, we're kind of grouping around the top side. I think both teams are looking towards that Otacon objective. If you're able to grab that, you'll have the Voracious Otacon, which gives you that massive GA proc that we're talking about. And big dance here, although...
Oh, he gets kicked over the wall, and then is an exit strategy for Climber. But look at Shanks. He's got a back wall. He's got a back line.
XQW!
And he's looking for a perfect execution. Gets XQW right out from them. And now it's just a brutal beatdown as Climber's coming forward. He does dash back out. Hope is untouched, but finally being engaged on, getting some good damage. YCX is down, and members are falling left and right for LGD.
Instead of the Otacon, we're going for the old school Otacon. Baron buff spawning here at 25 minutes. Here at 25:30, not much of a difference. AL going to win that team fight and look to take this Baron immediately. Although Climber and Xiaoya, let's see if they have anything to say about this big old purple worm.
Yo, Climber in his first LPL game gets a steal over Tarzan. That stuff of wonders. As Climber is looking for Flandre instead. They are getting low. Climber has an angle here. Can you outsmite Tarzan? They're just going to go for the fight. Tarzan goes back into
coming in.
Climber doesn't get it. Denied on his steal. And anyone's Legend looking for an escape. XQW is here, but Tarzan goes over the wall with his flash and gets the kill on Climber. XQW cleans up the rest.
Still, 1 member down, Hope being taken away. Really big find, in my opinion, as this is going to be one of the members that we're looking from anyone's Legend to actually push out on mini waves and hit these turrets. But what a sloppy fight from both teams. They were just throwing haymakers all across the board. It was XQW immediately trying to find this pick, and for LGD, they just cannot be this far up from the side of Climber and YCX. Your mid lane duo is currently nowhere in position, and despite the early lead that we saw from this Aurora, I mean, right now, XQW is just getting ran around the map. Shanks has way too much damage with this Shadow Flame and Storm Surge.
I mean, that instant damage is so wild. Honestly, a really good flash there from Hope in the end as well. And I just go back to the constant of this comp is going to be very hard to deal with as time goes on. Like, Flandre is literally, he's finally getting cut down by Xiaoya here. But that initial fight, he was so powerful. And we just saw that they were able to kind of muscle out this Baron.
I think the fact that this fight was so close is indicative of how strong LGD is in this game currently. I mean, you have this on-hit Varus that's going to deal a lot of damage. No flashes from our AD carries, however, is, I think, a very big game changer. We're starting up the Otacon. It's in vision. Flandre is recalling and looking for the teleport here.
Yeah,
and I need to be seeing LGD to be marking members. 10,000 HP, however.
This is, I don't know, this is tough. In this kind of situation against the Voracious, it's so hard to start the fight up because it does so much AoE damage as well. But you see that Shanks had an angle on the top side. Flandre's, look how much health Flandre has, by the way. Tarzan faking out the clone, has them in a fish and barrel type situation. All you got to do is pull out the shotgun, and here comes anyone's legend. In between worlds going out, though, trying to get the backline is XQW, but it's Shanks who deletes Xiaoya. Now Hope is trying to get some damage on XQW, who's still on the side, but it's just a meatball that you don't like very much as LGD
wait a minute.
are trying to fight their way out of this one. That is going to be a regurgitated one as Flandre gets a double kill there. And what do you do against a tank Jace when he's all up in your grill?
Riot, please nerf these tank items, man. Why is tank Jace a thing? This is an abomination of character design, man. This is not what they intended when Jace was put into the game. They wanted to be this long range, huge big poke, and then be able to switch into melee and be able to fight bruisers. This is not at all what they intended. They've got a ward here. Climber, please steal the Otacon. It'd be so funny, though.
Climber. I believe Climber's
we
gonna
go.
steal it. It's getting low.
He got, oh
no! 2 times is not the charm, and Climber will get disintegrated.
And this is what I was kind of hinting out, Lennon, is this the fight that is going to break the camel's back in this game one? LGD made this look so competitive for 25 minutes, but with the Baron play, with this Otacon, I think they got a little bit too wrapped up in potentially not trying to lose the game, that they may have forced the hand anyway, and now put themselves in a losing position. As we get into this fight, Shanks, oh man, he's just so locked in on getting into the back line, bringing out Xiaoya from underneath the shell, and without any of the more of that damage, there's not much that we could see from LGD. It's a great fight from AL and their solo laners.
Dude, I love it because you're looking at that and you're like, anyone's legend only have their tanks left. What are they going to do? They're still full health in the back line doing more damage than the damage dealers are. Like, it's just wild that ended up being a 2-man fight for anyone's legend that they toughed out and won in the end. So I guess it does go back to that conversation we're having, that there are a couple avenues moving forward. LGD maybe get a little bit full of themselves, play a little bit too loosely, and succumb to the experienced team of anyone's legend.
They said, look, the early game happens. Sometimes you just lose early games, but not at all worried that come into team fights. We know what our objective is. We have our Akali, we have our Jace who can be really annoying to deal with, and they get straight into the backline and get to work here. As, why is Flandre tank Jace 30% damage of his team?
Oh my
I'm done.
God.
It's okay. Thankfully, because we're playing full Fearless, never have to see this champion in the series again.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Just once every series when he plays. Oh, he's gonna get caught out here. He's still so tanky, man. What the hell?
And he has the Otacon buff, so it doesn't matter.
GA. He is back to base for 100 gold. That's a price you will absolutely pay as Climber goes in on Tarzan. Tarzan goes right back in. He also still has the GA available. Another 100 gold, but an easy fight win for Hope. Maybe looking for it. Shanks, way too far on the back line. Gets hit by the Between Worlds and gets sent back to base as well. 3 members standing. Hope getting low, and that's going to be a couple more kills going over, but it's only 200 gold. And maybe Flandre in a 1v3 is still alive. Slowly but surely falling. It'll be another big one going over to LGD. That was 1,000 gold.
This is why Otacon buff is so obnoxious, because you kill them, they immediately respawn 5 seconds later, and you don't even get very many rewards for it. Every kill when they have this buff is 100 gold and a single blood petal, which is 20 experience. That's literally worse than some jungle creeps. It's just insane. We need to be nerfing the values on these. Baron spawning now. Second Baron. Another dragon is here, but I don't think that's going to be the key point in this game. We're looking at the big purple worm to try to end this one out for anyone's legend.
It's curious to see so many unbuilt tier 3 boots there on the side of LGD. I know we've heard rumblings of the fact that they're not that much better for the amount of gold that you're going to be spending there. So very curious to see a lot of members from LGD not going for that power spike. But on the other side, you got brown paper bags for Hope, and he's still kicking on that Corgi.
Oh, we're making the Baron dance now. Teleports coming in
TP.
from Sasa. Are they starting this up? This is very dangerous. Hope's going to be able to clear this. Flandra's moving back in. And remember, with that last fight, a lot of summoner spells were used by LGD, while AL can just reset and use the buff.
Oh, you know who he's looking for. He's got his target set on the Xiaoya. Kyle going in. Big 3-man quickness combo. Oh, my God. Look away, LGD fans. Your little rookies are being decimated. An ace for AL.
LGD, we got game 2. That's all I got to say. LGD, we got game 2. We can do it. AL slam home a big victory. Early game be damned. I mean, Shanks, it was a rough laning phase, but him and Tarzan made it work and have come up clutch in this game.
Hope don't need no boots to win against LGD. AL turn around what was a consistent 2K deficit for a majority of the game into a 10,000 gold lead victory in game 1 of this best of 5.
Wow, Sleeping Giants here in Anyone's Legend. This was the expected result, but I think the way that we got there was not exactly intended from us, at least from the beginning of this series. It's good to see that AL are kind of keeping up in those winning ways, and we'll have to see how exactly they're going to continue to kind of push forward in this series, because the early game, they're like, look, we're willing to sack 2,000 gold at 15, 20 minutes, because we know we're going to be able to execute that much better.
We're going to take a little look-see at what exactly that game meant for Anyone's Legend, because it felt like, you know, things in the bot lane didn't go good to start off. Didn't really matter. Shanks wasn't doing great, but he knew what his job was, and it was to take out Xiaoya, who was a untouched beast in a lot of the early fights for LGD, and let Flandre do his work, man. Like, I don't even know what to say. You literally, there is no counterplay to that champion when Flandre is playing it.
Why are we giving Flandre MVP here, guys?
But did you see what he did?
He was playing tank Jace!
And yet he still did 30% of the team's damage, Alk.
Stats are fake. You know this. We know this. Think about the impact in the game. Shanks finding Xiaoya constantly. Tarzan getting into the back line. I think Kyle even, you know, kind of should be getting a bit of a shout here for the Rakan ultimates later on into that game. All of these members contributed. Honestly, the fact that, there we go, I was very afraid Hope getting 0% here was just a straight up robbery.
Gets 1%, you know. I don't know if that's much better there, but like Flandre got the 10-year buff. That's why, you know. He lost the 1v1
just sat
and
there
then dominated.
and stacked grasp.
He did not
grasp
just sit
runes.
there though. That fight at top lane around the Atacon, like they should have lost that if he was playing literally anybody else but Tank Jays.
You cleaned up one fight. That wasn't even the last fight of the game.
But that was
And
the
you
one they
get
were
in the-
losing at, and then they turned around to win. So, you know, I don't know. Results-based
Tank
analysis,
Jace-
Alk.
Dude,
Just like
this
the
Tank
Looney
Jace-
Tunes.
Man, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this. This itemization to go boom already. I'm ready.
Dude, the unending despair start is kinda
Unending
dirty.
despair. Fimbulwinter's been pretty good for a while.
Yeah.
The fact that we got rid of Giant Slayer all those patches ago, so
True.
a little bit more difficult to beat up on high HP tanks. Unending despair did get nerfed this patch, but
It did.
obviously not enough.
Obviously, not enough when you have Flandre there. We'll be looking at the stats of the game as well. It's going to be a really curious journey in that game 1 because there were so many things that looked good from the rookies, right? Like the fact that level 1 didn't go so well, but there was obviously a plan there. But Climber was consistently working the side of the map that he needed to. And against Tarzan, that's not necessarily an easy thing to do. So I think the earlier parts, and it's exactly the story we played out of like, you can look really good for a lot of the early game, but against an experienced team like Anyone's Legend, you have to be able to finish and you have to stay consistent.
It was so tough to watch too, because it's like, wow, yeah, you were holding like a 1,500 gold lead for most of that game. We can take a look at some of these highlights here that were looking so good. It seemed like AL just weren't on the same page in a lot of these early fights for the first 20 minutes of the game, but it was really just like the one fight. Yeah, Shalia started dying. There's an Akali on the enemy team. I have a bit of sympathy for him.
That is not Xiaoya's fault. I'll just say that right now.
Yeah, the Akali champion is pretty good at one-shotting backline. It's almost like that's her entire class.
It's the problem when you have two ADC mains on broadcast at the same time.
And look, that's not a problem. It's only a problem for the non-AD carry players. And they can continue to type in Twitch chat, but they're not here in the booth. So
ADC dominance. So these are some of the fights where it started getting a little bit more dicey for LGD. I think Hope was actually putting a huge consistent amount of damage here, but the angles that anyone's legend were facing, I mean, Shanks always had a flank. Flandre always had a TP angle or always had backline access, and that kind of stuff is so devastating.
For sure. It's one of those parts of the setup when we're talking about a rookie squad coming in from the LDL. It's how good, how clean, how precise is your setup, which is why I wanted to look at YCX and Climber. How are you clearing vision together? How are you setting up for these objectives? And it got to that point, right, Lennon, where they lost the fight and they're like, okay, now we have to force for an objective, and you're already behind. I think you just have to play lanes. They got a little antsy, and it cost them the game 2 fights in a row.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing, is just to see those fights breaking the backs of LGD. And there was a lot of close-knit moments in those fights, but you see the angles that Hope is able to survive on. This was the straw that broke the camel's back, I feel like, and this was that fight where it was like, LGD, it feels so good. You got almost everybody down, except for Flandre and Tarzan.
Yeah, they kind of were in a good spot. I liked what we saw at the beginning where we see the Rel actually zoning off the Tarzan and the Wukong, but if he's not there, and if Sasa's not standing in front of Xayah, how are you ever stopping Akali from getting into the back line? So now it's going to be something that they're going to be looking at coming into game 2. And this was the engage where I'm like, okay, if Kyle ever gets like his MVP vote, it's going to be off of this one.
I will give him that one. I will give him that. It was like one of the most beautiful recon combos. Yep. I know he was salivating as soon as he saw all 3 of those people group up at the same time. But unfortunately, Flandre exists in the game, and the trending topic of the tank Jace will probably continue to win out. Is that, if we didn't give it to Flandre, you'd give it to Kyle?
I'm probably still giving it to Shanks.
To Shanks, okay.
Shanks, look, despite early game woes, despite losing, getting absolutely bodied under his turret, he did what he had to do. He literally, every fight, his objective is kill Xiaoye, force Xiaoye out of a fight, put damage onto some of the carries, and he executed really, really well, which obviously for Akali we need to see. And of course, it's Flandre. I don't know why I even bother, man. Fine, give him his 10 years in the LPL, 800-something games. Fine, you get it. I get it. I believe in you, man. Just
10
no more tank Jace.
years.
I'm excited.
All the way from the days of Snake Esports to now on Anyone's Legend. What a journey. What a journey. The big stop-off everybody knows about is the EDG stop-off, obviously. But, man, this guy's been cooking for a long time. It's not only been the tank Jaces and things like that, the Vladimirs. This guy is an epitome top laner in the LPL.
And it's all about the consistency. I think there was a period after the Worlds run with EDG where it looked a little bit shaky. He ended up taking a break for a year, ends up coming back onto JDG, and it seems like that time coming back really has served him well, and especially, I think, kind of an all-time peak here for Anyone's Legend as an organization, where you're having an on-form Flandre come into the roster, you're having a really good Tarzan, and you've now had this core of Shanks and Hope stick together, and they're all firing away.
Yeah, and that's what I got so excited about for this team coming into 2025. They were already looking pretty, average of the pack, a little bit higher than average of the pack for LPL, but now they're just trying to bring in reinforcements to give them that leg up, to get them in that potential Worlds spot contest, which I do believe this is my sleeper team to make it to Worlds. But Flandre earns MVP there, and that is all she wrote for game number 1. But while we still have you here, I got to give a little bit of a shill to the broadcast here in the LPL, as It has been an incredible project. I know we're only, through the first week here, but it's been so awesome to see so many individuals come around and be a part of this broadcast, be in love with this broadcast just as we are. And as you may be aware, we are an entirely fan-made broadcast. We are not official. We are literally just passionate individuals that believed that this product should have a traditional broadcast feel. And as such, if you want to support us, we have started a Ko-Fi page. And please go do so. You can access that in the chat. Any donations there will go straight to improving the stream on multiple avenues, whether that be technical, whether it be content, whether it be things that we're able to do in the future, such as giveaways and things like that, and to pay our broadcast talent, because that's kind of important if you're doing it all for free. So thank you all
for
to
the love of
everybody
the
who's
game, boys.
Yeah, for the love of the game. Thank you to all of our Ko-Fi members. You can also unlock perks like early access to content, member-only servers, and interviews and stuff like that. And you can suggest questions for our interviews to collaborate. So please join our Ko-Fi today. Please support us. It's been an incredible journey, and we're just getting started. That is it for our first game. We're going to be taking a little break, and we'll be back with game number 2. Welcome back, everyone, to LPL 2025 Winter Split. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Alk Battery, and what a game one we had from a little lead for LGD's rookie squad to a 10,000 gold lead for Anyone's Legend, and a 1-0 for them as well.
Not unexpected coming into the day, but the first 25 minutes, man, they were so promising.
They had you the first half.
And look, even if we as a broadcast and I think as a community should be looking for Anyone's Legends to win here, LGD to the moon. LGD to the moon, man. Look at these guys. Look, they're
Hold
showing
him
good
accountable,
stuff.
chat. Hold him accountable.
Xiaoya and YCX are holding their own versus Open Kael. We're seeing XQW solo kill, Shanks. Climber, despite an early level 1 going boom, still is able to make stuff happen on Lee Sin. And, I mean, that's just enough. That's enough for me to believe.
I think for me, it was XQW having a lot of confidence in that mid lane matchup. I think that's always super important, and that's what I was so excited to see for Climber and XQW, because both of them were trying to play to their limits. Climber was taking, like, weird angles that if he stuck to them, they maybe work, but he was just trying things out. And I think that's super important not to lose that kind of confidence when you're coming from the LDL, because in the LDL space, I mean, these two guys, specifically the champions from that 2024 squad, and I think that brings a little bit of a chip on your shoulder as well coming into the LPL.
I also just love that we said, hey, for LGD and for rookie squads in particular, play for comfort, right? Lee Sin, while we may not agree whether or not it's the most meta champion, especially when we've been seeing from LPL the past couple of days, it's Climber's most played in his career. So giving the guy that I think has so much hype behind him coming in from the LDL, I think it's only right to kind of give him Lee Sin. And you also don't lose all that much, right, in terms of a fearless draft. There are so many other champions. Vi was banned. You still have Sejuani. You still have stuff like the Skarner and Xin Zhao, which we might see later on in the series. All things to consider, as best of 5 fearless just means we have so many different options.
Throw that chalkboard out and write new champions' names on it, because you can't play any of the first 10 champions. We're going to have 20 bans in this next game. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I do wonder if we start seeing some of the cooking that Anyone's Legend was, you know, foreshadowing to in those interviews in Demacia Cup. But I would be very stoked to see maybe some more variations in top lane. I know we've been seeing the Pantheon in the jungle. Maybe we get a little finicky there. I want to see what the answer is to either continue domination from Anyone's Legend or maybe try some things out.
For sure. For Anyone's Legend, I think that they've had such a unique start to 2025. We talked about it earlier at the beginning of the show, where they are a team that definitely prefers to give over a counter pick to someone like Flandra, but at least in this game and a couple of other games, you've actually seen him take up certain champions.
Baby.
First pick the Jace blind, and then when Rumble's available, obviously we've been seeing that. I'm interested to see as we get further on in the series what exactly else he's cooked for some of the first games here in LPL.
I want to see his recipe book, man. I just want to see how many drawings he has in there. What he's got. It's got to be crazy. LGD is going to be back on the blue side. Obviously, they lost, so they get to choose. And it will be back on the dominant side of things normally. But we do see a lot of the similar bans, so teams aren't changing up that factor of maybe we let some of these through, let one of those later games be a little bit more even in terms of meta deciphering. But it's going to be a continuation of the same bans for LGD with the Ashe, Callista, and the Victor.
So last one here for AL. I'm trying to remember what their last ban was. I know it was the Skarner and the Vi. If it pops up and they lock it in again, I'll know it immediately, obviously. But
it was a pick that they would have wanted. No, Vi was the third ban. It was something else, either the first or second.
It was probably just Rumble. I'm willing to say it was Rumble.
It was. I think it was Rumble. I think it was Rumble.
So here for LGD, is it going to be a strong blind, or is it going to be one of the other AD carries? Again, Ashe and Callista already gone here. From the blue side is so interesting to me because of how much presence specifically Ashe has gotten. She has been almost pick or ban in every single one of these games, but instead they want to go for Yone here, potentially a flex between the two solo laners, and setting up for Climber potentially picking up a AP jungler.
True. Or Xiaoya, maybe bring in the AP bot laner. we'll see if they want to play with any of that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying the possibility. All right. But the ADC pool is getting whittled down a little bit here, so you really have to start thinking of what kind of power potential you can get in that 2v2, because we've already seen that the 2v2 actually has a decent impact on the rest of the game. Hope is going to go for the Misfortune.
With Ashe also being permanently banned in this series, I wonder if we're going to start to get more of those hyper carries earlier. Typically by game 3 and game 4, we start to see things like the Jinx start to pop off. But now with Misfortune, if I'm LGD, I kind of want to start looking at engaged supports here. Leona was something that was banned in the second phase from LGD in the last game. Rel's already taken away. Nautilus is up and available. You really need those set up champions to be able to allow for someone like Misfortune to really get those bullet times going.
Chase feeling himself on the melee mids today. I love to see a guy being a little bit flexible in that regard, but obviously he's always been a little bit of a melee player. But the Sylas has a lot of big things to potentially take, especially with the Sejuani ult. I know they're AD scaling typically a lot of these, but it's going to be big, and it's actually the Udyr locked in as well for Sasa.
Wow. Okay, so not really afraid. I'm trying to imagine all of the different counters that you would want to bring into Udyr. Typically, it's the range top laners. Flandre, known for having his own little cooks.
No?
Gnar is available and definitely a safe
plays,
blind. I think it's a bit dangerous when you're looking at a Sejuani and potentially Yone on a side lane.
True.
Sin Sao here for Tarzan, one of his most played and obviously a great skirmishing jungler. This 2v2 from AL in the mid jungle is going to be very, very potent. So I want to see them actually get off to an early start and maybe cause some damage here.
This is a situation where I want to see Tarzan not wait just for that level 6 to get proactive and be proactive early, because like you said, that skirmishing power of the Xin Zhao early is so ridiculous if you can catch the right angle, and you'll have a lot of pressure at least coming out of mid lane from both sides in a lot of regards. So we get to the second phase of bans now, and anyone's legend say, you still haven't picked up your AD? Well, let me take some more of those off the table for you as they get the Kai'Sa banned away.
Renekton banned. Cassante's also gone, so again, Flandre is a big portion of this team's draft and how much they kind of build around him and what they're willing to kind of allow him to pick. That was also something that we talked about that Tabe talked about in their winners interview, is we have so much stuff cooked up for Flandre. I have so many different champions that are ready to go, and in a fearless system, that kind of stuff is exciting. But back end of the draft, like you said, a lot of focus on AD carries. Draven and Kai'Sa trying to focus in on maybe a specific matchup coming in from the bottom lane. I'm looking what Xiaoyu would try to opt for. There's no Varus. I think Ezreal could potentially be very interesting here if they wanted to go for it.
True. Maybe, yeah. I guess the standoff damage would be nice to have on a full melee comp.
Yeah.
But I do worry about like kind of safety in that regard, because obviously right now they're looking to go very far forward. This would actually be a really good composition to have some of those tie-in damage dealers with, especially in the bot lane. But Flandre decides, I don't need counter pick. I'm just going to take Ambessa on 4.
Now I'm worried here, Lennon, for AL. Low range composition. They do have some ways of being able to cheat mobility, but you're looking at having to play against Sejuani, Udyr, and a Yone. That is absolutely miserable to play.
Especially
and a
all
Braum
melee.
here. Oh
And a
my
Braum.
god.
Oh.
Oh no. This is so hard for AL. If AL win this game, I'm willing to just chalk it up to a 3-0 because there's
Yeah,
no
I
reason
think
that they
so.
should be able to win versus this draft here.
Dude, the fact that Tabe is letting this happen right now and just like, why? Like, do you think he's just sitting here going into 5A? He's like, how did we get here? How did this happen? The Bard is locked in for Kael, so a little bit of comfort there in the bot lane, but some of that peel back that they maybe need against this comp.
Bard is... it's good for the laning phase. That's kind of where I'm seeing this. It's also good for being able to potentially catch out the Jinx, but there's no setup for this Misfortune. So this game is going to be less about our bottom lane 2v2s that we were starting to maybe try to set up for someone like LGD, and it's going to be about our solo lanes. And Bessa has access to the back line. Tarzan and Shanks has a really, really powerful 2v2. I need to see them getting off to a good start early and looking to snowball the rest of this game.
Yeah, there cannot be any of the kind of 15, 20-minute leads on the other side going into this one. I feel like this is one where you are going to have control of the map in a lot of regards. In the later part of the game, AL were able to do that. In the early part of the game, LGD were able to do that. So it's going to be a lot about the mechanical nature of the jungle paths, especially. Our big premier matchup was Tarzan versus Climber. Climber in his rookie split, a hyped up LDL champion from 2024, going against Tarzan, who's looking to bring this team to a potential world stage later on this year. It was already a tough task in that game number 1, but we're getting into game number 2 here shortly. Sejuani setting up the entire comp right now for LGD. It all looks like a puzzle put together. It all fits perfectly on the other side for anyone's legend. You're looking at hands, you're looking at mechanics, and you're looking to just diff them to go to a 2-0. It is game number 2. We already had a banger for game number 1. So let's get on to the Rift and see if LGD's rookie squad of 4 rookies can make something happen.
It's all about the jungle. Such an important matchup. And, hey, they've got Meteor behind them. Long time.
This time they got Braum.
Yeah. Oh, we're level 1ing with Braum. You already know that's a good shot for them. And Bessa Flandre in a sticky situation. He got in deep, got a very good ward for themselves. We're already seeing the swap here coming out from LGD, getting vision down on the bot side. And I wonder how far this goes for AL, as the longer they stay on this bottom side, it is just to get vision on Climber. I was thinking maybe they try to go for some early invades, maybe try to split the map early, especially because we're talking about playing for solo lanes. If LGD can split the top side of the map and force Tarzan to really only play towards this dragon and towards the bot side, could actually end up being a very good boon for them in this one.
I think anytime you're looking for some of this kind of angles and stuff from both sides can be really, really nice. But I want to go back to the Meteor point you were making, because we didn't get to talk about it too much. I'm sorry we like cut off that point, because when it was announced that Meteor was signing for LGD, everybody's like, "Oh, Meteor is playing, he's big." He went and posted on his socials like, "No, I'm actually coaching," and see if that mentor to trainee combo can actually pay off.
He's been in the LPL for such a long time and kind of says had his up and downs. Obviously, has been on a few different rosters. But it's really exciting, especially for such a new player. I think he can kind of show him the ropes and give him a really good runway into this LPL year. And similar to another story that we have kind of from last year with Cream and GA, but this 1v1 is...
Hope? Don't tell me you're going to die again in the 2v2. LGD, man. They just got it tonight.
Last time, it was Hope flashing forward. This time, it's YCX on this Braum. He gets the first blood again, and now it's going to be that first blood feat going over immediately to LGD. This bottom lane is throwing hands early.
I love to see that. Xiaoya, obviously the only holdover into this LGD rebuild. Cool to see some resources go his way. Now we're looking at that mid lane passive combo from Climber and XQW. They're just going to pressure Shanks out so Climber can go pressure Tarzan. And this is the kind of duo stuff we need to see. But Tarzan, we said he's a very good early skirmisher. Kingslayer available for Shanks. LGD, this is not a fight you can win. Tarzan flashes, and Tarzan gets the response kill. He says, "Not in my jungle, you don't." And Shanks will pick up the ladder.
Ah, man, XQW wasn't in the right position. Climber needed to wait for his mid laner to move after getting the push in mid. Was a little too impatient, wanted to be on that Raptors, and Tarzan knew his damage that much better than his opponent. So it's 2 kills going over to AL. Big wins for them, especially as we set up earlier. This 2v2 needs to go in their favor if AL want a chance in this game.
And you can only, maybe not only, but you can chalk a lot of those kinds of situations and a lot of the situations we've seen in this series so far as that experience differential, right? A little bit of that newness, a little bit of that confidence there, and trying to make a play work that maybe wasn't supposed to, or one that you had to pull back on. That is what experience brings you in the LPL.
So Climber just goes here. Yeah, I mean, XUW, this fight is really hard, if only for the fact that XUW doesn't have the spirit using his E, right? He just used it in mid lane versus Shanks, so they don't have the ability to overextend and then snap back, come back to you the rest of the map. It's just a matter of cooldowns and kind of registering that with your 2v2. Ends up being those kills like we were saying, and opening up a bit of this map here for anyone's Legends to play with. despite the bottom lane 2v2, we are still looking for what Kyle can do on this Bard. And if he's getting in the mid lane, he's playing with Tarzan, this becomes so difficult for LGD to play the map.
It does. It gets very, very difficult. And Kyle was already having a really good game in game number 1 on the Recon. Flandre not having too much fun in topside, but that's just going to be the case up here. As long as he can hold on, AL will be just fine. You have Anyone's Legend looking at bot side potentially with Tarzan, looking at that Scuttle Crab there with the Dragon spawning in about 6 seconds and Grubs in a minute.
Something I want to say as we get further into this game with 5 minutes to start here, the lanes as we see them from LGD are going to get a lot better as the game goes on. Udyr in a side lane is going to be virtually unkillable by anybody from Anyone's Legends without multiple members showing up. And Yone versus a Sylas. Sylas can steal his ultimate, but should lose out on the 1v1 more often than not. So I'm going to be looking at how LGD are going to be able to extend this game. And if XQW falls even further, it's going to get more and more rough for this LGD squad if they want a chance at taking a game 2.
Ooh, into the wall. Tarzan follows him. And here you go. AL are just taking the fight to them. Give them no time to think. And that's going to be 2 more quick kills for the mid-jungle duo of Anyone's Legend.
Kyle roams on mid, finds the play, even stops XQW from getting his recall. This is exactly what we wanted to see from Anyone's Legend. They're going to be able to get massive gold influxes.
He's got
for
level
some of those
6
carries. Shanks looking for the abscond to abduct, but just going to continue to push out on this wave. And you see the top side already. Udyr wants to transfer the top priority into getting these grubs, but Tarzan has a different answer.
Dude, it's so wild how much damage Zin's out. Like, he literally just cleared that entire Raptor camp in a couple autos. It's actually wild how much early damage Zinzao can have. LGD do take away 1 grub, but that looks like all they'll get unless Climber wants to return.
Doesn't have smite. It is coming up, so he might have been able to contest for that objective, but instead sitting around, doesn't have very many camps on this side of the map. Lennon, I gotta say, this game is getting quickly out of hand. 4 kills here for AL, and Climber and XQW, this mid-jungle has not been working in this game as well as it did in the last one, and it is causing massive problems. They're no longer able to kind of leverage Sauce's lane priority. They're probably going to lose out on this bottom side objective, and that's not at all the game plan that we had set up for them coming out of draft.
The fact that they've lost so much control around the bot side is very detrimental to what they want to try to do. And we're not seeing that same level of everywhere-ness, a new word that I just made up, for Climber, where he was literally on every pocket of the map that he needed to be last game. But this game hasn't had the same pressure, hasn't had the same priority, and is having to play a completely different game this time around.
We're starting off towards the bottom side of the map. Shanks has the ultimate stolen already from XQW. And he just does no damage right now.
He baited it. Okay, he's got the combo right back, though, and he goes down. A Climber comes in and saves the day for XQW.
Legendary caster curse from myself. You can thank me for LGD fans. We're doing God's work out here and trying to get this team back into this game. Shanks goes a little bit too far, and it does stop the Dragon for now. I wonder if there's a potential look on the bottom side as Tarzan is on this side of the map.
Ooh, just going for the slowdown there. Get into the bullet time, get a decent amount of damage down. Hope won't have the ulti anymore. Xiaoya does have his Mega Death Rocket, but they were trying to put pressure here so Tarzan could freely take the enemy jungle. Go wrap back around down the spot side. Here comes everything from Flandre, trying to get a little bit of escape. And I feel like this is what this top lane is going to be for the foreseeable future. As long as Flandre doesn't do anything bad, doesn't get caught out, doesn't lose that side lane too heavily or die, the rest of the map for Anyone's Legend is chilling.
That has been the case for a lot of Flandre games, right? Like, he's not super
literally in his career
on smashing the laning phase, but his map awareness, his ability to play on side was something that I think we saw really, really well exercised in that last game. So going to be interesting to see from Anyone's Legends top laner as to kind of what happens this game. Because, again, it's about that loss of agency. When the map happens around you and not with you, you're kind of a passenger. And it comes down to, can you set up around objectives?
It's going to be a big question, but also a tough ask. In a lot of these situations, you are down a decent amount against a comp that loves to skirmish. And I really think the Kyle Bard pick is unlocking a lot for that bot side at least. We'll see if it continues to be represented across the rest of the map at least. Right now, our observers just really want to watch this, noodle fight up here.
Look, they already gave us the grass packs earlier. I think that they are just more excited. Again, we've been talking about it, but Flandra, 10 years in the LPL, I think that there's a reason to be excited for a player like this, especially with the pedigree, and I think the level of play that he's been able to keep up in all of those 10 years is really, really impressive. Coming back to this game, however, 9.5 minutes finished Sundered Sky here for Tarzan. Huge power spike for AL, and any objective, any fight that he's a part of right now should be in their advantage.
Hey, but see, you got the convergence on the other side. It's the same thing, right?
Wow.
They're like the same item.
Anyway,
I
Grubs are
couldn't
coming
hold
up
that
in
one
20
very long. I'm
seconds.
sorry.
Grubs are coming up in 20 seconds for the useful information that's coming through. Look,
Hey, it's useful in the
nerfing this
fights,
item.
all right? He's going to have something.
Yeah, it's
at
useful
least.
when your team is at least even or ahead, but his damage carries are not quite there. I think the most even right now is going to be Xiaoya in the bottom lane coming in with his Jinx. It only takes one reset, and that is going to be whether or not LGD can actually find a teamfight victory and us looking at an AL 2-0.
It is grubby tubby time as AL already had 2 of them. Could look to get 5. LGD maybe trying to contest there. Feats of strength still on the table for both these teams. As LGD are the first ones to start it up here. Look to take away that 1. Maybe even go for 2 if they want to hold the smite. AL finally coming over here. It's a little bit late. Flandre looking for you. Got the tempered fate onto 2. Now it's going to turn into a big tussle. Big bullet time miss actually there by Hope. They still get the how is this man still so impactful? Literally did nothing all game. Finds backline, but Xiaoya gets excited. Now Flandre tries to get the Ambessa angle, but Xiaoya is packing away. Shanks gets a solo kill on bot side, but LGD win the top side fight and they're gonna take the grubs.
Oh my God, that was so close. Hope splits the Red Sea right there with the bullet time, landing on nobody of consequence here versus LGD, and they were able to build out a solid enough frontline. Kyle with his ultimate, I mean, it's great because it lands onto 2 members, but the rest of AL do not actually properly collapse. Now this teleport coming in from XQW, it's just too long. Shanks is like, thank you, God, for all of the new teleport changes, because old teleport, he would have been dead.
Whoa.
Now Sasa might be facing that. It's a new year running it down.
Ambessa's here. The Iron Wolf to shut him down. Oh, no, the Tarzan's going to get... Okay, no Iron Wolf here. Nothing to see here.
All right, well, cool. So we get to take a look at this replay here of the fight. Oh, this is going to be what happened bottom lane. Okay.
Oh, he just wins it out.
Yeah, I mean, Shanks just put hands on the boy. There's nothing you can do.
Oh, he goes back in. Oh, no. Oh, that feels even worse.
This is the fight. Where is the damage dealers? We landed this big ultimate onto 2 members, and no one's able to deal anything. Flanger with this public execution, the big thing about this ultimate is that it targets the lowest HP member that you're able to hit. And that usually is going to be your AD carry, but this time it was YCX, opens up a big opening here for LGD's backliners, and they're able to pick up a couple of kills for themselves. Yuntal Wild Arrows finished already here for Xiaoya. Those 3 items, once we hit them for Jinx, can be a big difference maker.
They absolutely can. I will say Kyle flashing in a straight line against a Jinx rocket feels real bad. And kind of what set the tempo there for LGD. But Xiaoya will take that all day. Again, the last remaining member in the rebuild here for LGD. And he's been getting a few resources as we go in the 2v2. Been going a little bit more LGD's way, even if the games haven't. And now we're at a much more even state. About 800 gold in the lead is AL. We have another dragon coming up in 10 seconds.
I think LGD might win this game by sole factor of how expensive their skins are. And it's only Xiaoya carrying that
It's
one.
literally the Jinx.
It's just the fractured Jinx. I wonder how many rolls it took Xiaoya to get it on this guy. Oh, wait, they're tournament realm accounts. They get them for free. Wonderful.
Not all of them, though. I don't think you get the Faker skin.
At
At least that's what I heard.
Tournament.
I heard
Yeah,
from players that you do not get the Faker skin.
We keep seeing it every so often played in like LPL and LCK, so we'll keep an eye out for that as to whether or not
That's the
some of these
pertinent
teams are-
information.
Yes, exactly. That's going to be a dragon going over to anyone's legend. Now, with a Herald spawning in a minute and a half, I wonder if this is going to actually be our big fight for the feats of strength for first to 3 epic monsters. LGD, however, they already have the first blood, and they're looking for a first turret on this top side.
Man, it's going to be close on the feats of strength as well. I mean, the problem is for AL is they really haven't been able to get any significant turret damage besides on top side.
Yeah,
And
that
that's
top
one
tier
of the
one is very
main-
dangerous.
Yeah, it is. It is. But they have to make sure to capitalize on that. They want to try to get these feats straight, but they won game 1 without getting the feats of strength.
True.
So, you know, who needs them, I guess. We did get the
Maybe
Blade
we
of the
just
Rude
have to
King.
buff it.
True. We did, and you need to change the wording to feat, F-E-E-T, of strength
Nope.
instead of
Nope.
feats. XQW, though, he does get the Blade of the Rune King. I typically really like that spike for Yone in particular, just because you can see an tempo of the aggression and things that he can do. So I want to see if XQW can actually pull something off now.
I like this from LGD. We saw as soon as that fight topside, I think we're going to hold. We are maybe getting into a skirmishing position. LGD really want to protect this top tier 1. We saw them deploy first up into topside to help XQW get the push, and then immediately AL are like spam pinging the top tier 1. Please get this turret so we get at least one of the feats of strength. And as long as they're protecting this top turret, they're doing a great job of getting resources into their carries. Xiaoyu has been protected. His flash is going to be up or coming up after this Herald spawns. And when they get this Herald on the side of LGD, they also have 4 grubs. So that in itself is going to open up so many turrets for them if they're able to grab this objective.
Just wondering how many resources we are willing to commit here. No TP is going to be used from the side of LGD. They're just going to walk their way up here. Rift Herald has been spawned, and it will be started up by LGD under full vision of AL. Now AL just going for the
Kyle's
pickoff, but
dead.
it was Xiaoya that found the pickoff all along. Kyle goes down. Xiaoya gets excited, and LGD, they're close to taking the lead for the first time in the game.
There it is, and if they grab this
Oh,
Herald...
Fondra! Oh my God! You need something, that man will put on the Batman cape and take you there, baby. Let's go! Anyone's Legend looking for the fight. There's a big engage from XQW. He's getting more damage down, and he's got those passive stacks building. Flandre and Hope, the only ones left here. He might have gotten a flashy play on Xiaoya, but it cost him everything.
Flandre!
As he goes down, he still takes down one with him.
Wow, and that is a huge win. Even though they don't get very many of the kills, LGD are pulled off of the Herald. There was 2,000 HP. I think LGD just needed to commit to the bit. AL find a huge pick off of their star top laner. Flandre comes in with a public execution and opens up the game for them.
Dude, that public execution, like the distance that he covered on that, it had to be the maxus of max range on that ability that I've seen thus far. That was wild.
This opens up again. Kyle gets caught with the concussive blows and over the wall. What happens here? So it's off of vision. He literally has no okay, here we go. So it's on the ward.
Look at it, it's not even in the ability.
Dude, I love this champion. It's fine. It doesn't even matter. The big part of this fight is the fact that they got all of the summoners off of this Jinx, and they stopped the Herald. Again, that first turret being another feat of strength that if LGD are able to get in the picture-in-picture, we're getting we're getting this right.
Oh.
They've got the Herald now.
Oh, wait, no. Okay, A was going to block it so they can't get it. The Rocket's just going to claim it. LGD are just going to walk in and take the Herald. Absolute nutty chaos here as LGD finally takes that lead we've been hovering around for so long. And Xiaoya is just popping off.
Great job from the AD carry here. Again, rewarded for his time playing in LGD last split. We're using the bullet time to clear the wave. This should just be
But
the
that
turret for
unbreakable,
Grubs.
yeah. Tarzan using the Crescent Guard. They got a little damage. Tarzan just goes back in. There's the public execution. Shake's coming in too late. AL, they're looking for a final turnaround. Hope has been untouched. Shanks has the back line. Shanks is doing massive work right back. But XQW, he wants to try to finish the job.
Oh,
he wants to
Climber's
try to get
alive?
something back. And XQW shuts down Shanks. Hope now is in melee range of a melee carry. And he'll just be taken down.
Are they going to get the chase for Kyle? I mean,
yeah,
look,
they
it's
are,
Udyr.
baby.
Why not?
Uh-oh.
All right, never mind. Great bind. Missed
Ooh,
one.
XQW?
Minus one.
XQW?
Minus two. Never
Okay.
mind. He's got hands. He said, look, the early game, Shanks may have absolutely owned me, but similar to last game, laning phase is apparently extremely fake. You can just keep winning on those 2 item power spikes. Big items coming in here for the side of LGD now, as we're starting up this 3rd dragon, Hextech Soul here, potentially, on the map if we get later into this game. But this is the replay. The Herald spawns in with the 4 grubs. The Unbreakable just stopping this. This was the problem with MF we had. You didn't stop any Braum from coming through. And in this team composition, it is so hard to execute.
It's so hard. The fact that YCX stays alive there is so ridiculous. And honestly, we're seeing the payoff. Like, not much has changed since the world meta. Yone can still literally win you fights if he fights on the right item spikes. And XQW is giving us a clinic on that here in the last couple fights.
Good for him, and especially for the early game of this, and we get to see the coaching staff excited about, oh, we're actually like putting up more games. This is similar to yesterday. This is similar to yesterday, right? Where against Weibo, Ultra Prime, they got down in the mud. Not every game was as close, but they ended up taking a victory. And in similar fashion, LGD, while they are the ones that have, I think, more kind of the rookies coming in straight up from the LDL, they are showing that Anyone's Legends are fallible. They're not a team that particularly tries to outplay you in the mechanics. They're going to just try to outplay you with spicy champion picks and playing the map really, really well.
I think that's the coolest thing is getting to see some of the flexing of potential that there is on this squad. And we talked about it, the odds are definitely against them in terms of LGD and kind of bringing in all this developing talent from their developmental side of things in the LDL. But getting to see little sparks like this is exactly what I came into the day wanting to see. It doesn't need to be wins. If they're wins, it's even better. But as long as we're seeing some of that cohesion here, and XQW is putting in the work on a Flandre.
It was funny when you talk about the development pieces coming in for this team, because it's not like all of these members are the LDL champions from 2024.
Yeah, no.
You have YCX, who was on EDG Youth. He is actually the Split 1 champion coming in, because they have a 3-split system, similar to how we now have for all of our Tier 1s. You also have Sasa, who was on TT Youth, and I think one of the better members that was able to play for that lineup, and definitely pushed LGD in some of those series. So they've got, I think, some of the more exciting prospects coming in from the LDL side. And if it leads to more wins, again, I think that for this roster, you are looking towards a Split 2 kind of revamp or kind of push for a higher seeding. I think it's possible, especially with what we're getting here.
No, exactly. Especially when XQW has the Yone. He's a menace. I mean, he literally just pressured off 3 people by himself there in that last little tussle. As Atakan will be spotted in topside and started by LGD, but really, it's just XQW who wants to kill Kyle, and now might just take Tarzan and Collateral. That Unbreakable's doing so much damage, or at least blocking so much damage. LGD will back away a bit. They do still have TPs to come back to the fight. Atakan started right back up. XQW going to TP right back. Anyone's Legend need to find a fight here.
Oh, Flandra's trying to find a flank. There's also Hex portals if they need to get back in here. Tarzan needs to be careful.
Okay, flash burn. Glacial Fish are going to be popped there by Shanks as he stole it. Atakan's going to reset since nobody's in the pit to fight him. Flandre still on the side, about half health. TP not going to be available for either of the solo laners. Kyle just has to find a back here, looking baby for a flash play. The turret's going to go down, and here you go. XQW goes for the over the wall, not able to get it, but maybe the follow through. Shanks locked down by himself, but he's healing so much. Mega Death Rocket goes in. Now Flandre finds the back line. This is the fight that AL needed. This is the one they were setting up for, and they find the access pipeline, and that's gold right there.
Triple kill going over to Shanks, but it is all Flandra in this one. The solo lanes, yet again, for Anyone's Legend, make magic happen in a fight that didn't look very good for them. So they'll grab themselves the Voracious Otacon. They'll be looking to push on some more of these turrets. And that might yet again be another fight where LGD overextend themselves and put themselves at a deficit where they could have won this game.
They could have won this game, absolutely. That's going to feel heartbreaking.
And they still can for what it's worth.
Absolutely, they still can. The fact that it felt like AO was losing this fight from the get-go, but Shanks takes up so much space and damage here.
this is so tough, and Xiaoya has no mana. He's able to just barely deal damage, and everybody around him is falling. The fight was just not in a great spot. I will say, Tarzan made a really smart decision abusing jungle privilege in going back to finish his Krugs while all of that was starting to kind of warm up, gets the HP regen, kills off the camp, gets all of his health back from what looked like it could have been an execute range here for Jinx. And now we're fighting in the river. No Unbreakable here for the Braum.
This is the GA, though. I mean, you literally just take this fight anytime for AL because you can just absolutely abuse this. As the bullet time gets blocked, they're trying to save Xiaoya, but Flandre came back. He's literally the Grim Reaper, and Xiaoya has no saving grace. Anyone's Legend took one fight, and that's the biggest snowball I ever seen, and that's not new.
They still have the Otacon revive as well. They can push on this mid-tier one. Maybe they go for a Baron. I think they have quite a lot of damage at 25 minutes. We're doing yet again another on-spawn Baron attempt here from Anyone's Legend. And that might just be our game 2 all wrapped up. It's been 2 back-to-back fights here, and more of these structures are starting to fall. That gold lead exploded to 6,000. As we get into this replay, I mean, Xiaoya just can't deal any damage into this. Shanks, yet again, buys space and buys time for his team to win the fight.
Oh my god. Like, the access lines that they have. Flandre with his public excuse. Like, I know we all know that it goes through everybody and hits the last target, right? But he is able to find the right ones every time. And the impact that Flandre and Shanks are having into a composition like LGD have in the Sejuani and the Braum is stuff of miracles, as you said.
At the end of the day, it does come down to execution. Everybody likes to harper, like, hey, this team won draft, so the game is just over. No bother in playing it. We got to see the execution here in team fights come through for AL time and time again. And even in the early game, it was a little bit sloppy from LGD. Imagine if they weren't giving over kills. If Tarzan had not gotten that first double kill early on, maybe there's a little bit more room here in terms of grace for LGD. But this development squad still rough around the edges. And I think still being able to hold your own against Demacia Cup champions, against a team that we are thinking to be top 4, top 6 here in the region, still impressive enough.
You know?
Oh, wow.
That didn't.
All
I
right,
can't
well,
believe that didn't hit Hope.
this
I'm like actually shocked that Hope didn't get hit right there. But like Glacier Prison, XQW's down. Unfortunately, had so many big moments in this game on the Yone, but has not been able to stick it to him. But this is exactly the story I expect when you put these two teams on paper against each other. This is what we've talked about the entire time. You can look damn good for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, but the real teams that'll find wins in the LPL, it is teams that know how to scrap it out. Teams that know how to capitalize on the right moments. And all it took for AL was one fell swoop to knock down LGD's advantages and slowly but surely burn them down to a crisp in game number 2. And that'll be a 2-0 lead in this best of 5 for Anyone's Legend.
They didn't even get to finish some third items there, and a lot quicker than our first game to start. Anyone's Legend striking while the iron's hot and getting themselves to a 2-0 lead here in that best of 5. I love what we're getting from the solo lanes. I think when you came into this year, there were a little bit of questions as to whether or not Flandre, coming off of a kind of not great JDG year at the end of the year, and then Shanks as well, there were some questions as to whether or not he would be able to level up his gameplay. And while there have been some mishaps, I think for right now, AL are looking on form.
They really are. I mean, we had said we had seen awesome things from the mid-jungle duo, from the top jungle duo for Anyone's Legend and Demacia Cup. But honestly, it's a holistic effort at this point in this series. And I think there's been like the fact that bot lane is barely holding on or not holding on and still finding wins, like that is troublesome. But all that matters is if you have the win, and they are playing so well around their solo lanes and around Tarzan that it is so hard to deal with. And like, I can't even comprehend the level that Flandre is playing at right now. Like, I understand it's the tank Jace. I know you hate it. There is some kind of idea. There was some idea of like how to interfights, but man, this Ambessa, his angles, the ideas that he was going, like, he did literally nothing for 25 minutes in this game. Catches Xiaoya once and then just is the unstoppable killing machine. It's a ADC gameplay in 2025, baby.
I love playing against that best. He played this game incredibly well, even though he wasn't able to do much in the laning phase. Again, that has not really been AL's strategy. It has not been dominate through the laning phase, have someone who's incredibly mechanical, like the likes of someone like Bin or 369. He has been playing extremely well around where he needs to enter fights, how they're able to kind of gather around objectives, and that I think has been one of AL's strengths coming into this year, is having so many experienced veterans. Obviously, we talk about some of the other members being somewhat journeymen, Kyle, Hope, being able to play for so long, but Tarzan and Fandra, I'm sure, are kind of helping bring this team and elevating the roster, which was to be expected when you bring in these two players.
Dude, Tabe is just sitting back there reaping in the benefits. He's just like, yes. I mean, maybe he's not too happy about how the early games went, but it's fine. It's fine.
A win's a win.
A win's a win. And they've done it with not necessarily different looks. I feel like it's been a little bit of the same shtick both times now from Anyone's Legend, but they're able to do it with a variety of champions, at least, and being able to see the Xin Zhao, the kind of skirmish heavy, and the fact that they played towards that a little bit earlier, the fact that we are getting a really huge performance from Shanks, honestly, on double melee mids so far in the Akali and the Sylas. These kinds of things going right for them gives us a lot of hope for the future, and why I kind of put them in my would-be world sleeper contender. But this game was a cliff as deep as the Mariana Trench, Alk.
This time, there was no, like, hovering gold lead for the side of LGD. Again, the level 1 happened, or the level 2 happened, and then, despite some bottom lane happening, still just a really good game from AL. This is why I have them as, we don't have Mark, and that's unfortunate, but I'm kind of sad that he took my bit, because I really wanted to kind of preach how good AL we're going to be. And while I love LGD, I have a lot of hope for this roster. I think there are a lot of exciting things for the fans
in the future.
In the future. For right now, AL are on form. They're incoming Demacia Cup champions. And usually, we have that little stat that we've been bringing up every now and then, but people who are the team that usually wins Demacia Cup do win at least one of the splits of LPL in the year. And with 3 of them here, the incoming momentum that we were talking about, I think it's going to be kind of an easy layup, especially when we talk about this group.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is the group is not the most difficult. I'll just give it outright.
I mean,
right
they
now.
already wiped up TES in the grand final, so...
Yeah, hey, well, all right. But I think the real factor is the fact that, it is top 2 of every group. There's 4 groups, but both teams, LGD and WE, they're kind of, LGD in a kind of full rebuild phase. WE trying to figure out what works for them against 2 top-tier rosters who are looking to compete for the Silver Dragon Cup.
I don't know. This group is pretty free. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, you have Team WE as 16th in the entire league.
I do.
Free. TS,
Free.
They demolished them in grand finals. 3. I'm looking at AL to do exactly what they did in Demacia Cup, 3-0 the group stage, and look to be incredibly dominant in a double elimination playoff bracket.
All right. Well, hey, they take one step towards that here with a 2-0 start to this best of 5. A lot of really, really niche good moments from LGD. What I really liked is they grabbed a very outright composition. They said, we're going to fight you with a group. We have Braum, we have Sejuani, we have double melees. That is how we want to try to approach these fights. Getting lost in the sauce a little bit doesn't help that. But again, those first 25 minutes, like, those are the kinds of things you can build off of, and that's what gets me so excited. And on board the train of, second, third split, this team could actually have some hope to them in terms of using some of that young strength that we know so well in the LPL.
When organizations build rosters, there's obviously a couple of forms you can go with it. The most easy to kind of decipher is we're going to build towards the future, play to have pretty good player buyouts, develop young talent so that other teams can try to pick them up and flip a little bit of cash there, or it's a win now strategy. Some teams have obviously gone for a win now strategy across the LPL, IG, and LGD and the like of Ultra Prime, they're finding interesting bits of talent. For Ultra Prime, it's looking towards the Asia Pacific region. For this team here, it's looking at some of the homegrown LDL talent of either the LGD youth team or just picking pieces from other winning championship rosters. So I think it's a great look for them. And while it's unfortunate you have a group where you're playing against Anyone's Legends and TES,
Yeah.
the early game is really good. I think you can teach all of this stuff. It's the mid game that is going to be very, very important. And I want to see what their coaching staff, especially someone like Meteor, can kind of bring to the squad.
All hail our Lord
Deserved.
Flandre, 10th
Deserved.
year of his name, second MVP in a row. I don't know. I'm trying to go with some Game of Thrones thing for Flandre. He deserves it. I don't know. That Mbessa performance was wild. It might be 10 years, but I'm still glad this guy's cooking.
I mean, not much to say. He played this game incredibly well, and he deserves it this time. If I thought the last one was fraudulent, this one's incredibly on
He made up
brand
for
and
it.
deserved. Exactly. Like
Dude,
this,
that
this one,
alone.
oh man, this like.
ADCs everywhere in shambles.
And then he does it again here. Like, he's literally perfect, playing so well with the Drake
Through
Hound set
3
passive.
members? Is it
Yeah,
through
look,
3?
It's forces the flash out of Xiaoye, gets right into the back line with Tarzan and with Shanks. This melee comp was kind of just like playing in the Thunderdome, and they all bought in. It's when you
Yeah.
buy into that strategy
Yep.
that it really starts to work. I mean, this is just, again, a highlight reel of a highlight reel. Flandre just walks all over his opponents with this Mbessa.
And what's crazy is like the mid game for Mbessa was always finicky. Like going into this champion, we always thought, at least early on, early game and late game you can have a lot of good things going, but mid game's a little bit difficult against some of the champions that are in the flexible meta right now. But hey, Flandre made it look good every step of the way, even holding that Udyr up top for a long time. So very, very much deserved MVP there. And I love to see that, there were some votes for Shanks, but majority votes for the 10-year man there. And 2 games back-to-back where he makes a big difference in this one. This means the LGD are backs against the wall here and trying to figure out what can work for them. Again, this is single round robin, best of 5. Bottom 2 teams in each group are eliminated from Winter Split. You cannot afford to lose any games. We're going to see what Game 3 has in store for us right after a short little break. Welcome back, everyone, to LPL Winter Split 2025. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Alk Battery, and what a game we had. 2 games in a row. LGD, they had us in a certain part of the game, and then they lost it. But they're showing us some good efforts to that, though. AL up 2-0 in the series, Alk.
AL have been playing the map so well. I think that they're playing the team fights really, really strong, and they're kind of showing that, kind of contrary to belief, that sacking the early game is kind of fine. And when I mean early game, specifically the feats of strength, showing that you don't necessarily need them to be able to win you a game. They're nice, I think, for having a tangible benefit for winning the first couple of objective fights and the like. I think it's great for the game. Mostly, I think it's just a player behavior solo queue thing, so we'll be seeing more as the... I mean, look, you need to... I need to make sure that my jungler is not running around the map and being like, guys, I want to fight for everything. It's like, okay, calm down.
Chill out. It's okay.
Yeah.
Be all right.
Bring my mid laner over. A little bit of action there. But it's been exciting for LGD, but it's just unfortunate that they're not able to kind of bring it over the finish line. I think a win would mean a lot for these guys and would definitely prove a lot because, again, history is written by the victors, right? So people are only going to see a score line and not really know what happened between LGD and AL.
Yeah, I think there needs to be some like review of this series if anybody's going to judge LGD, just to show that there was actually some fight back in a lot of these cases. But the one elephant in the room, the man with the hammer in the room, the Iron Wolf in the room, I don't know. Flandre is literally dominating this series from top to bottom, and he's just in the top lane. And it's been really fun to watch, not only because there was all the celebration of the 10-year. Obviously, he also put out that huge thing, thanking his fans, thanking his friends, all that kind of stuff. That was super cool. But then he just goes on to style on people in the series itself, and he has been the difference maker so far in this best of 5.
I also love how much of like a difference it is from what I think top lane has looked like for the LPL in the last couple of years, when you think, okay, we have people like 369 who are supposed to be like these incredible mechanical players, but now have swapped over to tanks. You have someone like Zika, who has been, I think, like an up-and-coming rookie that's kind of growing his brand as kind of being maybe the franchise player for LNG, and Bin, right? Bin is the big talk of the town almost anywhere you go from the international community, and he's doing it in style from the top lane. But Flandre just does it differently. He's able to play the tank Jace. He has the Mbessa. I mean, I feel like he's just doing it all.
With the pink mouse too. I gotta love that man. Love that man. No, he's really having a good time. But obviously, things would not be as easy for him, or in a lot of cases set up for him, if he didn't have a very strong team around him. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from anyone's Legend Time is everybody is performing when it needs to happen in those later parts of the game. And in this kind of meta, when you have Atacon, when you have Baron spawning a little bit later, those slow starts maybe not as effective, and maybe helping them kind of weather that storm a little bit.
Mid and late game, I think, are actually... Now that I say it, I stop myself.
Okay.
We have multiplayer practice tool now.
We do.
You actually can. You can set up those scenarios.
Apparently, you can't do it more than an hour. I found that out from Toasty today.
Yeah, but games don't ever go past an hour nowadays. Like longest game at Worlds was what, like 52 minutes?
Yeah, but if you're practicing scenarios, you only have an hour to do it.
Late game is 30 minutes anyway. Just send it back. You also have the rewind feature that's part of the game. We've got draft in front of us.
It's really cool.
And the bans look the exact same. Blue side for LGD, Ashe, Victor, Kalista. The opposite side, Skarner, Vi. And we're expecting a rumble here unless we're going to get something a bit different for Game 3.
Yeah, you can obviously see those fearless bans at the bottom of your screen as well. The champions that have been played already in the series in the 2 games prior. Do not expect much difference in these bans here. It is actually Draven hops up to the first phase instead of the second phase. They do not want to give Xiaoyo one of his comfort picks there in the bot lane, but the Rumble has been left open and is locked in instantaneously.
So what is the answer here for AL? Because when you know when you ban out the Draven, that Rumble is coming. So what have you prepared on the side from Flandre? Look, he's been cooking. Galio was the answer at Worlds this last year, and looks like that's going to be the case. Now, with Nocturne Hovered, I think AL should be looking to have, or LGD should be looking to grab away the Orianna. I think if AL wanted to protect this, they should have just gone with Orianna Nocturne immediately and then stolen the Galio.
That's their plan, maybe. I don't like. Maybe they're just like messing with them. Like maybe they're looking to see if they're willing to take that Orianna because Shanks has maybe a good matchup and you flex that Galio or something. I'd be very curious what's going on in the conversation pit of AL, but it will be the Ahri locked in by LGD. So maybe falling into the trap a little bit here.
All right. Ariana
That's pretty good.
Ahri and Viego, a very potent combo if they can get that damage. And it seems like in response, AL probably going to be picking up their Orianna here, saying from the side of LGD, just go for the 2v2, try to find something on level 6. Maybe with this charm, we can try to force out Orianna from the laning phase, get some early roams coming out from XQW, because when we saw game 1, some of the best parts of their game was the fact that we actually saw XQW slam Shanks and move into bottom lane. We're getting, instead of the Orianna, LeBlanc.
Could it be LeBlanc top lane? I really... It could.
It could be
against the Rumble. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
I do really like the response here from LGD though. Go with their own 2v2 if they know that AL is trying to set up some kind of 2v2 matchup there. Go with another classic in the Ahri Viego and look for that reset city ticket, and that can provide them that early game prowess or even the late game difference maker in the team fights with those resets. But AL have a lot of choices in front of them right now, and they have a lot of options. As we go into the second phase, it was the Jhin ban towards Xiaoya, so Xiaoya will continue getting his champ pool pinched, and the Poppy ban by LGD.
Trying to look at 80 care, some marksmen that we could be looking at towards the bottom lane, and I mean, maybe we get a Twitch angle. We've been seeing a lot, I think way too many Twitches. I mean, even one Twitch pick is already too much for the game. But if they wanted side lane pressure and someone that could be a little bit safer versus like a LeBlanc, a Nocturne, and a Galio, I think Tristana here for LGD could be particularly something that they look towards. Getting rid of the Renata means that a lot of support matchups start to open up. And again, Nautilus not picked. Rel and Braum are gone. Leona, I think, is something that starts to rise in priority, especially for engaged support.
Interesting. I guess the follow-through damage, the ace in the hole. But
yeah, they just don't want to deal against like a strong laning AD, I think, is the big idea here.
Then now you get even a better dive tool, right? And I feel like even without the Orianna in this setup, you still have a lot of safety for Tarzan with the Galio heroic entrance there, and a lot of follow-through damage with the LeBlanc and Kai'Sa kind of hopping in with you.
If they're going to play dive, Xayah's great for that. I just think you get outranged by someone like Kai'Sa if she goes for the AP build that we've been kind of seeing for however long this champion has been around. No Rakan means you don't get the lovers duo, but yeah, Leona here, I think great for someone playing into the LeBlanc, and this 2v2 is very, very potent. I wonder what AL are going to be responding. Interesting enough, by the way, Ledin, I know we haven't kind of touched on it, but this has been 3 games in a row of R5 support here for Kyle.
That's what is wild to me. A guy that has been playing a lot of utility for the team since he came in a year ago from Live Sandbox. A guy that has played around with the meta a lot and played a lot of like independent picks, it feels like. He is the one that's getting a lot of the resources in the draft to make sure that they can have somebody to pair up alongside Tarzan and Flandre later on. And I think that has been an undersung key point to their compositions so far. The Rakan, things like that.
It has also just been very weird when you think about the draft priority just around LPL in general. It's been take your bot lane pair on 2-3. Maybe you kind of move that over onto 4-5 if you have a very strong blind for one of your solo laners or you're looking for a jungler. But that typically only happens in game 2 and game 3 as we get further into a series. So interesting to see Kyle with the support counter pick. He gets Alistar, which is pretty good here, especially when we're talking about someone who can be a great frontliner against Leona, also being able to push the Viego away. Something that we'll have to keep track of, as here for AL, they are coming in with some pretty big damage coming in from the LeBlanc and this Nocturne.
It is the 2024 LDL champion, at least a couple of them, Climber and XQW, from LGD versus the reigning 2024 Demacia Cup champions in anyone's legend. A rookie roster. 4 rookies for the first time in the LPL on the side of LGD. A roster that was so close to being in that upper pack last year. in LPL, bringing in reinforcements like Flandre and Tarzan that have made a massive difference in how this team plays. Can LGD have another strong early game, and can they turn that into a victory? The only questions remain is if they can do that, or if anyone's legend goes to a 3-0 start in this best of 5 and a 1-0 start in Group A.
I would be very sad if LGD go out 3-0, because it's, again, it's a 3-0 that it doesn't feel like a true one, right? Like, I feel
But
like
it puts
LGD
you that
should have
much
at least
closer to
gotten
the
one.
edge, I'll tell you that.
True. That is very true. Shanks getting an early ward. Great job on using the distortion here to try to track this. Oh, YCX doesn't see it.
Oh, no!
Oh,
That
no.
actually can play a huge role. If you play around something you don't think has vision there, it can absolutely throw you off, especially against somebody like Tarzan here, who's going to be looking to be pretty aggressive now that they know that bot side is warded. Climber was playing around this top side of the map.
What are we,
Oh,
what are we
no.
trying to do
Oh,
for like a weird
no.
level 1? We're going for a late invade onto Viego. I think that's perfectly fine. We're also swapping our bottom lanes, both of them going towards the top side of the map. Xiaoya and YCX are in the area, and Tarzan's nowhere near his camp. Okay, he's going to go and start Raptors. One thing that I will kind of credit towards AL, at least in this series so far, is they've been very diligent on getting vision in the enemy jungle. They want to make sure that they're tracking Climber in every single one of these games, and whether that's from early invades like we just saw, or just being able to get cheeky with it in some of the earlier parts of the series, they've been doing a very good job of at least trying to cut the legs out from underneath LGD's carry jungle.
So is this just the new bot lane? Is top lane the new bot lane now? Is that what we're deciding in LPL?
Bot lane is wherever you want it to be. It can be mid lane if they really wanted it to be, but remember, bot lane has some, or mid lane has, is a bit of a shorter lane, and so typically not that fun to play 2v2, but we've been seeing solo lanes. They were trying to avoid this matchup, although I don't really see why. I think maybe trying to allow for Sasa to play the game, but even in a lane swap, Rumble doesn't kind of operate in that same manner, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just going to be we're going to be seeing a reset and then play for level 5 advantages for some of our teams here.
Also, Flandre cooking for a third game in a row. Had the tank Jace into the Ambessa, now into the Galio against the Rumble comp, or against the Rumble matchup. We'll see how that continues to go, but man, his impact around team fights is going to be felt. So until that time comes, we'll keep an eye out, but we have to look at the difference between the approaches that Climber and Tarzan are going to have this game. This was our spotlight matchup. This was the most important thing, I feel like, on the map in all these games. And Climber, having that early aggression, could look for things on the Viego. Tarzan really just waiting for that level 6 to get the paranoia to have an effect.
Climber will have a lot more early agency when you look at his lanes. I think when you look at AL, however, Tarzan, he can kind of mitigate that damage, that straight up damage loss you would get from playing against a Rumble or an Ahri by having so much setup on his side of the map. You have a Galio that you can play with. Kael, if he ever decides to leave the laning phase here, he's going to be able to also link up with his jungle. And the amount of setup that a Nocturne can require is going to be really, really important. And like you were saying, it's all about getting that level 6. Tarzan is obviously a great jungler at being able to kind of funnel resources into himself. And it's all going to be about single camp advantages. Where can you sneak a camp here? Where can you kind of leech experience? They did increase the experience acquisition range to make it easier for people who are getting lane swapped on and the like. You're playing solo lane versus 2 players. So you can kind of sit around mid, sit around some of these lanes and leech experience to get level 6 a little bit faster.
Those little things, the nuances, can actually mean so much as well. We will see that traditionally in this series against these two, we've literally contested like every objective on spawn for the most part. I think dragons have been the only ones that have been lagging behind a little bit. We will be about 40 seconds from that first dragon, a little bit further off from the first grubs, but that is where you have to start looking at the end of pathing for both these two junglers, and the fact that Tarzan is not going to have a lot of his options this early into the game.
Alright, finishing off the Krugs here, he's level 5, maybe trying to just sit here and pretend like he's helping, mostly just to prevent a dive here from Climber with YCX. And we have grub spawning in a minute. I want to see if this is going to be LGD's timer to move off and potentially go towards the bottom side of the map. We do have Climber finishing his side of the jungle, and I mean, we're going to have XQW being able to move out after mid. Level 6s coming in for mid lanes is going to be very important. I'm looking at Ahri. Once they have this ultimate, the Spirit Rush unlocks so much movement across the map.
Yeah, I mean, the reset city is where they're looking to go. I don't know why I love that so much, but it works. You know, it's the comp that works. And I will say, I'm a little surprised not to see have seen any real aggressive moves from Climber and XQW already. I mean, I know obviously you were talking about the Spirit Rush. It's really an unlocking factor for the Ahri. But I was hoping to see a little bit more, I guess, initiation from Climber and XQW in the earlier parts of the game.
He's also down CS in this mid lane right now.
Which is crazy.
So Shanks showing off a bit in the laning phase. Looks like we're going for some early skirmishes.
Okay. Kyle goes straight into XQW.
Whoa.
Shanks finds him too. Heroic entrance. They might actually find the angle. You got the Winds of War. Thought
The
Flandre
Ignite?
was going to be able to get it. He doesn't have the burn now. Flandre trying to get out of there as well. YCX a little bit below. Oh my God. Tarzan with the fade away shadows gets the kill and first blood for anyone's legend.
XQW walks a bit too far. Tarzan throws the skill check and says, "Are you paying attention? Do you know that my Q has this much range?" Grabs themselves the first blood. That'll be an early feat of strength here, and maybe a second one as YCX.
Oh no.
Ah,
All right.
man.
I don't know, man. This is feeling real bad real early, but you still have the reset comp. You still have things going for you, but a couple bad decisions early from LGD is just going to lead to a full-on lead for anyone's legend.
Such an investment coming in from LGD. I mean, Climber looked for the flash stun engage onto Kyle, which is questionable at best. And then an early Grubs take here. Well, Sasa's getting plates for himself. 3 plates. We haven't seen him actually really be a big kind of contributor to a lot of these games. The Cassandra is probably the most important. And I want everybody to watch Climber here. Looks for the stun. Does not land it onto Kyle. It forces so many summoner spells, so many ults out from this team. And it's eventually where they find this kill onto XQW. Otherwise, this should have just been them all walking away from each other.
Imagine Flash Q. Oh my God. Like in my
Fox
years of
max
commentating,
rank.
I've never seen that.
Man.
I love the angle, and already off to the races is Tarzan and Shanks. Probably what will be, at least to me now that we've seen the Demacia Cup, one of the strongest mid-jungle duos in the league.
That's your jungle goat right there, man. Put some respect on them. Show some love, especially for.
But
Shanks
I
and
never
Tarzan.
thought the cohesive synergy was going to be Shanks, right? Like, I mean, we've seen Tarzan with Scout. We've seen Tarzan with all these wonderful, like, Xiaohu. We've seen literally Tarzan with some of the biggest names in the LPL, but the one that just feels like it's clicking right away is him and Shanks.
Don't remind me about that roster, please. The Xiaohu roster of Tarzan. That one painful. There we go. We're getting a kill
This
onto
is also
Sasa.
painful, Alec. I'm sorry.
It just feels like a victory lap here, Lennon. AL are just making it look easy across the map. Shanks has found his groove in this series. Game 1, I think for all of AL, was a bit of a sleeper. But this time around, they are just ready to go. They are not taking anything from LGD without making them pay for it.
Actually, so difficult to watch at this point. I mean, I know it's only 3-0. It's only 9 minutes in.
It's
but
about
the
to be a
amount
4-0.
of oppression that AL is exuding onto the map right now is insane. Shalia will burn his Featherstorm, try to get the Blade Caller
Whoa!
combo, but the Flash from Hope is just too damn clean, and that'll be kills across the map. The only person that has not died on LGD, Climber.
Lennon, if I thought that a 9.5-minute Sundered Sky was good enough,
Yeah,
or really good here for Tarzan, I'll take an 8:45 experimental hex play. This is a huge boon for them. Now they're going to be able to have ultimates on cooldown. We get to take a look at this replay.
Oh,
This was the bot lane
man.
that we were so excited for, right? Every game, it's been these two finding a win for YCX and Shalia, but it comes down to game 3 everywhere, every lane collapsing here for LGD, and AL just look like they're unstoppable in this series.
This is gonna be something completely random. I hope this isn't like a breakdown of confidence in their first series, right? I hope it's not like a breakdown of communication in their first series. Those 2 losses are hard, especially when you're new players and you're winning against anyone's legend for 20 minutes into the game and then you lose them. That can be so destroying of the mental. But this whole game has just been missed skill shots, missed positioning, and it's only 10 minutes in.
Happens. I don't know what to say, man. Like, this game's hard to watch. I was the one that was big upping on LGD potentially being able to make a splash. Look, I said they can win LPL. I didn't say which split, okay? And they can still get out of this group.
They can still get out, even with one
loss.
loss.
It takes a win versus WE and a massive upset versus TES. And that's part of the format, right? Like, all of your so-called scheduled wins have to be that. Otherwise, you throw your entire season in jeopardy.
Yeah. Dude, Shanks is just taking a 1v2 right now in the mid lane.
He does not care. He's like, I'm literally not afraid of you guys right now. I'm playing LeBlanc. I will one-shot your AD carry and this Viego later on into the game.
TP
We're
bot
gonna
lane.
teleport.
Oh, no.
Good luck bot lane, guys.
Turn out the lights and initiate the horror movie. LGD, where's your popcorn? You're going down. XQW is TP'd in as well. That's going to be a big equalizer. Doesn't matter. Flandre bites the bullet for his team, and this is chaos. Shanks is taking the turret now as well.
Wait, guys.
What is happening, guys? Guys, chill. Okay, they're no longer chilling. There's just kills going everywhere. A double kill comes out for Sasa, but hope is reigning supreme. 4-0-2 on the Kai'Sa.
He's able to clean up on this fight. It's a grub take here for Climber on the opposite side, but this turret is pretty close to going down. It's probably not going to go down on this wave, especially with fortification, but 3 grubs.
You don't think so?
No one's in the area. Wait, okay, I was going to say maybe more people, but Xiaoya and YCX, they've deployed into the mid lane. Hope should feel comfortable taking this.
Oh, it's close. He doesn't know where
that
XQW is.
Man.
Yeah, he's a little scared. Not going to be able to pull the trigger on that one just yet. He's actually sticking around, though. And this might end up being his death, but XQW going to be spotted on the... He took the control ward away.
Happens.
So
Can we just talk about, by the way, it's like 11 minutes and we already have all 5 people here in bottom lane. Like, Shanks is on his way. Galio's now come through. The Avenger beams are back, ladies and gentlemen. You thought that TP teleport plays around bot lane turrets were gone? Well, hey, the change is there. There's the feats of strength here coming in for AL as we get another fight.
Both times, LGD has won the feats of strength. They've lost. Maybe that's just foreshadowing because now you got resets coming out for LGD. Shank's going to try to get away from Climber. Climber's going to chase him down, trying to get his soul, and that'll be a couple more kills going LGD's way.
All right, they're sacrificed 2 members just to get these feats of strength. Let's see what AL are able to do with this increased bonus combat ability. As LGD now, I mean, you're in a kind of a weird spot where you have to keep fighting. You have decent 1 items here for your jungle and mid. You're having Sasa, who's going to be close to hitting 2 items here. I think you're probably just waiting for Xiaoya to get back into this game, but it's tough. Hasn't even finished that first item. Going to be having the Yuntal Wild Arrows, it appears, as well. So still a bit of scaling before you have all of that crit chance that's built into the kit.
Man, it is hard. I will say my biggest happiness about this, not happy that LGD is struggling to some extent, but man, AL just know how to have fun in draft, and I don't know, it just feels like a different team. Like, it is not a team that I'm immediately like, they can win Worlds, they can win LPL, but the fact that they're already showing us this level of ingenuity and stuff in the draft is so cool to watch. Like, this was supposed to be a Nocturne Orianna combo, but it turned out to be this weird mashup of like different pieces with a LeBlanc mid, and it's just working.
And that's even without it being like actually fearless, right? Like, Orianna was not a champion that was picked previously, so it's not like they're just having to pick Nocturne and then substitute a different mid laner. It is coming off of the creativity, and that was something that they did note in their post-game interview after winning Demacia Cup coming in from Tabe. Mostly it was focused around Flandre, but I would expect from someone like Tabe, who is obviously wanting to push the boundaries a little bit in this game, led BLG to some victories as well when they were kind of becoming the it factor, the it team here in the LPL.
It's been a wonderful union, I guess, between Tabe and AL. I know he was very, very happy to get Tarzan and Flandre on his team. to try to bolster them a little bit. LGD still trying to keep their neck in the game here. Only about 1,000 gold down. Feels a lot more oppressive than that, but they are still this Viego RE comp, and they can still have a lot of strength in these fights if they catch out the right member. Dragon does get started up preemptively, dragged out, and continued right now. Paranoia is available. Tarzan maybe looking for it, but no, they get engaged on first. Now Heroic Entrance comes in. Kyle is there. TP's coming in. That's going to be XQW on the back end of the fight, but they've already lost YCX, and that's a lot of damage from Hope, who is stacking.
Flandra!
Insta-taunt into the Paranoia. Shanks getting blasted, though. That was a little bit preemptive and a little bit overzealous. AL pay the price to a double kill for Climber.
Flandra just finds the flash, but no one is in range to do anything about it. So Climber gets himself 2 separate resets, and now Herald is spawning. LGD are in a great spot to be able to contest for this. Maybe a bit afraid that their 2 carries are in not great positions. Flash from Xiaoya.
Xiaoya! That's on the highlight reel. That's a poster if this was basketball. My God.
All right, maybe I'm starting to feel it, Lennon. I think feats of strength are actually just bait.
Dude, they really are. I feel like the win rate I was told where the feats of strength have like 75% win rate is just, I don't know. That's not what I'm seeing in pro play.
My only caveat to this is that that has been the case in every series except this one.
Exactly.
Very rarely has a team who's gotten the feats of strength and been able to take Otacon have kind of lost the game, but man, this is tough. Like, the first part of this fight is so great. Even if you engage onto this team, there's just a Galio ult. You always have to be thinking of Galio ult, Nocturne. Where are these champions? Can they get to us quickly enough? And it's right here. Flandra. No one is here. Hope is in Super Narnia. Shanks cannot jump into this team. It was a great charm coming out from XQW. And look at all these feathers. Hope you just walk on forward, not thinking this would land. And now in the picture-in-picture, you can kind of see LGD are walking to this topside jungle. They want to try to grab this Rift Herald and open up the map.
Kyle did burn his flash there. Flandre looking for another taunt, but doesn't find the angle that time. And just a couple little miscommunicated. Like, if Flandre doesn't go for that flash taunt, like, everything's fine there for AL. But the fact that LGD now are still in the fight in a dead even game, 17:45 in. We have Atacon coming in 2 minutes. We have all the objectives up on the map. There's a lot to be contested.
Despite that last fight, my eyes are still on Hope. 2-item Kaisa right now, the most fed member in the entire game, versus this Viego. With the Rage Blade, I have to expect him looking for a win.
Okay, they actually caught him out. Yeah, that's really tough. The Paranoia just splits the team, and Tarzan is just going for a 1v1 spree against XQW. He got him early under tower, and now he'll get him in the fight. Another double kill, but this time it's anyone's legend, Shanks, that comes up with it, and Rift Herald will be started by them.
They've started this objective a few times. It's finally going to be going down in the hands of AL, and great job from them from, like you said, splitting up the fight. You have Tarzan pulling the attention of someone like XQW away. Sasa in a bad spot, gets caught out, gets finished by AL, and that's just more gold going into these carries, like Tarzan, like Hope. As we take this replay, look at where everyone is. This starts with a bunch of ultimates just missing, right? Galio lands onto no one. There's a Rumble ult that kind of roasts my family, I think. XQW just, there's no team play. He doesn't have ultimate, no flash. How can play?
There's literally nothing you can do there. Everybody's so far away. There's no saving grace for you, even with any tools available. Dragon, he's up on the other side. And started up by LGD. See if AL want to come contest this one. They will not have their heroic entrance, but they do have the Paranoia.
This is second dragon of the game at 19.5 minutes.
Yeah, this is like one of the later dragons of the season so far.
And we have the Otacon spotting in the bottom side of the map here, which, again, much easier for, actually, I think both sides of these teams because the Tri-Brush is situated in this manner. Top side, it's just completely unfair for blue side. You have all these walls you have to kind of walk through. Red side, open up to both sides, and we've kind of seen both teams specifically more so LGD, play around the vision that comes along with these walls. So I'm interested to see whether or not LGD can kind of find a play, because as is, this game is very much getting out of hand very quickly for them, and we're not seeing much in the way of proactivity from this team.
We're going to be hitting those 2 item spikes as well. A majority members already have it for anyone's legend, even though they're not that far ahead. They're only about 2,000 gold up over LGD. You see, we're getting the tension building here. LGD realize Atacon is down there. They have really been willing to start that fight up. And AL want to be here to contest them, actually looking to take their own fight. Hope going to be coming away from mid, does a lot of damage to the healthier members. You see how much he does there just in a couple hits. AL going to move down to the Atacon potentially, but this is a dicey situation as XQW pops his Spirit Rush and misses the charm.
Control of this entrance of the river is so important. And you can see AL, they want vision. XQW's looking for it, wants to find Kyle, but that's the unstoppable.
But what do you want? XQW!
Look
you
away.
had no exit, you had no escape, and you just tossed your life away. Flandre is just going to tank up a storm here, and LGD have lost multiple members now, but they got the resets for Climber. Now they're trying to get Kyle. They do get him. Climber's going for more. Reset City, ticket for LGD. We said it was coming. He's got the charge. No, he's got the escape. No way. He makes it out with sub 100 health after using the Rift Herald to escape.
He said, "Hacker, hold my beer, man." He was definitely taking notes there. 100 HP there. It's not much in terms of the overall, as it is a massive fight win yet again here for LGD. AL just overextend after a little bit. They give resets after resets here for Climber. 2 items for this Viego, the Sterix and the Sundered Sky. He is the big carry. I said we were pitting him versus Hope. This time around, he needs to be able to kind of lean on his team to get those resets.
5-0-1 for one of the hyped up rookies from the LDL championship roster. I will always be questioning what XQW saw right there, but it was still a pretty handsy fight there from Climber.
And the fight is just split. I mean, all of the damage going on to YCX. We're finding another one. Kyle's dead.
Oh, they actually got him. Paranoia's going to be popped. They take the engage onto Tarzan. Nobody can really join. Hope goes for the side lane kill. They actually already got at YCX, though. And he takes the Scuttle Crab. Oh, my God. Climber just can't win a smite fight to save his life here. But he is going to be the saving grace of LGD if there is going to be one.
The support's getting caught here. I mean, Lennon, Kyle, this time around, he's been having an okay series, but it's these small moments where he gets caught out that are buying time for LGD and are slowing down this third game for anyone's legend. It's going to be the Otacon start here as LGD are coming back out onto the map. XQW is on his way. You also have Climber, level 13 and ready to fight.
They saw Flandre use his taunt. They know he doesn't have it anymore. Atacon goes down about half health. LGD move around. This buys a lot of time for AL, who do have push prio in mid lane now that LGD have repositioned around bot. You have Paranoia. You have Heroic Entrance. If you want to pull the trigger for AL, you can.
I think the reason why this game has looked so close, Lennon, is part of the reason we gave AL so many props.
That's
never mind.
Oh, insta engage by XQW, but it's immediately peeled off of by Flandre, who's going to go for a taunt. They got the Paranoia on the backline. Tarzan overextends, though. He goes over to YCX. That is not the person you want to be fighting,
though.
And that is a massive reset. Though YCX will not have any further follow-up after that. LGD can now potentially look for these objectives. You have a Dragon coming up in 30, and Atacon still up on the table.
AL's claim to fame this season has been really great map play, finding creative fights in terms of their team fights and how they enter. This time around, we're not getting any of that. We're getting Flandre flashing forward. We're not getting that cohesion that we were expecting from AL. And that gold lead that we had before is just gone. LGD are back in this game. You're looking at the items. 2 items here for XQW, 2 items here for Xiaoya, and we're still looking at Climber to be able to really bring this game over the hurdle and get potentially the first of what could be many wins here in this series against anyone's legend.
I just have this feeling. I don't know. Hope sitting at 5-1, 3 items in the game, most gold, most damage. Absolutely shreds these higher health bar enemies like YCX and Climber. It's just feeling like a hope game here. We'll see if LGD can shut him down, but he will be a big target for them to focus on in these next fights. Dragon is up, would be a second dragon for either side. Besides that, both Baron and Atakan are up.
Every time I think about the Kaisa champion, I am just imagining the TSAL series, where it was that one game, Jackie Love pentakill. The champion's just strong, but we'll see what he's able to do, what Hope is able to do, especially as an AD carry that after the Worlds 2022 run with JDG kind of fell off the map, right? It was a couple years on that WE roster with some middling results.
Which
Here
that
on
WE
AL,
roster went undefeated for like however many games they had that first split.
It was 4 weeks, but I remember that because they went undefeated, and then they had the Road to Asia games where they also won. But then after that, it was just like the schedule was too
destroyed.
Packed. They got destroyed, and that was part of it. They used all of their like momentum in Road to Asia games, and then nothing else after that, which is really unfortunate, especially for Hope. He was one of my players I was super excited to see. Is that JDG run in 2022 was so exciting for me.
And it's so cool because Hope was one of the big names, you know, being picked up by EDG before he went to that JDG run. And even through then, right, and through the JDG run, he always talked about being a shot-calling ADC, be somebody with a little bit more agency in the comms. Now, it's been years since those words were uttered, and right now it's looking like just a hands diff for him. We'll see if he can actually make the difference. Their Solar Flare going to be popped, so no more light in the darkness for LGD, and Paranoia ready to go.
We're doing the nice old mid lane dance. The Nayram here making an appearance in the LPL, as it's really hard for AL to find much purchase on the map because they haven't been able to take down this mid-tier one. They've been really focused on pushing mid-tier 1, moving into the side of the map, but with this turret, it is very easy for LGD to get mid-priority and do what they want to do with Vision. So one singular ward not swept out here by AL means that they're going to trade Atakan for Baron. We saw this trade with Weibo Gaming, and they ended up winning the game. I don't think they're in the same position from LGD.
I don't think so either. I don't know. There's a TP coming up to top lane. That'll be Flandre going up there. You also have Shanks and Kyle here. Is this going to be a flipperino for the game? Baron going down low, but you got that GA set for AL. They're looking for the Paranoia engage. They got the big Featherstorm there in the middle of it all. LGD actually giving a good fight. Hope finds backline. Hope is by himself.
He's gone.
He gets his GA popped. They are getting one body, maybe a couple more, but LGD will clean house and pick up a little bit of extra gold.
I normally would be okay with that kind of trade coming in from AL, but they also use summoner spells. The whole point of having the Atakan buff is that you are at a massive advantage and you are trying to force out summoner spells from the opponent. There is no flash engage coming in from Kyle for the next 5 minutes, and they traded it for Xiaoya's ultimate and the flash and barrier. I want to see AL properly punish this. Tarzan didn't even fly in on that last fight. He just activated the ultimate to be more disorienting, but didn't actually help the rest of his team.
Hope just flew to the back line.
Yeah, and Hope doesn't have cleanse anymore. He doesn't have any cleanse, right? So if YCX finds an engage, if XQW lands a charm, that could be LGD opening up this game. Now they have the Baron. They lost very little in terms of that fight, and they can continue to push around the map in this state.
That's the biggest thing that the Baron buff affords you. You just get instant map pressure in the lanes, and you see it paying dividends here. A 1.5k lead almost for LGD. And this is the most even this series has been in a game. Usually this is the time, or a little bit before, where AL finds some miracle team fights and turns it completely around. But LGD, they're giving us a big stand here to try to keep away from a 3-0 in their first series of 2025.
So Hope has been on 3 items, but 3-item core coming in for LGD is going to be happening within the next 2 minutes. You already have Climber, who's getting closer to finishing off his 3rd item. You also have XQW with the Void Crystal. Xiaoya is getting close to having an LDR, so he'll be able to finally deal damage against Kyle and Flandre. This is a dangerous spot to be as AL. You still have that scaling. You still have a lot of damage because of someone like Shanks with 3 items plus tier 3 boots.
See if they can contest this one. The tier 2 turret up here. Paranoia going to be popped. He goes straight in. Heroic Entrance goes in. Featherstorm going to be popped. Blade Collar coming soon after. Hope looks for him. Hope looks for Xiaoyu, and he guts him. As now you got the fight from LGD. Resets coming out from Climber. That is massive. XQW will finally fall to Shanks. Now it's a little bit of a fight back. Climber still resetting, still kicking, and this is what they drafted the Viego for. AL, they're running for the hills, and they'll get a couple bodies out, but Climber is doing work.
Maybe there's a reason we see the Nocturne paired with Orianna. This LeBlanc combo is just not working for AL. And Hope flies in on the Killer Instinct, finds one member, but immediately has to use the flash and still ends up going down. AL are not creatively kind of solving the problem of how we kill all of these members. And we got to take a look at this replay. I don't agree. So there's a lot of pressure here onto Xiaoyu, but still has the Featherstorm. He's able to get out. And while there's damage, I love that XQW gets away from Shanks. Shanks is not in a position to deal enough damage. He's still over this wall. He's trying to find an entrance, find purchase into this fight. And during all of that, Climber's getting resets and opening up the map for his team.
I see the angle Hope is going for there, but man, just to give a free angle to Climber, like XQW, Xiaoyu, they are problems, but I think the biggest problem right now is Climber, and that's a beautiful setup for Climber, who was so lauded coming into this season. You know, pick up his rookie split. He's been with this he's been trying to work through the system, and to see him going toe-to-toe with Tarzan in the first series is really nice, but they're obviously playing to his comforts here on the Viego.
Lennon, I want you to call your shot right now. We have not had a 3-0 since the very first day of LPL with Weibo versus OMG. Do you think AL are going to be able to close this one out? Or are we going to Game 4? Because
I think we're going to Game 4.
I'm feeling an LGD win, boys.
Yeah, I think we're going to Game 4, baby. LPL never lets down in the hope for more games. Let's see if that actually becomes the case here. Paranoia is available. Heroic Entrance is available. But they are lacking damage if Hope throws himself to the wolves. I think that's the hardest thing about that last fight is, like, if they have Hope in a front to back, I think they win that one, right? But Hope going for this backline multiple times now in fights and giving his life for it, see if it becomes worth it. He does have the GA now, the real one. So maybe being able to play a little bit more loosely with that.
Interesting. I feel like this is a damage loss, although you're playing Kaisa. She's very flexible in kind of the role she can play in so many different team compositions, so just doesn't want to give the reset, right? Like, just preventing it, even if it's for an additional 2 seconds, that is going to be an important part.
Sheesh. Xiaoyu takes half his health there from just a couple combo from Shanks. Guess he's starting to get online now.
Luden's Storm Surge, Void Staff, and upgraded Sork Pen boots. Tier 3 boots, you have flat penetration, percent penetration as well coming in. Even with the hotfix nerf, this is one of the strongest boots that you can get. And I think it needs to be, especially because mages for such a long time have had really, really, really terrible itemization compared to their AD carry counterparts. So, not sad to see it. It's just, as an AD carry player, I'm already afraid of LeBlanc, and this champion just gets even scarier and scarier with the new items. LGD, though, are starting to kind of put vision around this Baron. They want to put the finishing touches on this game. And AL looking for any last bit of kind of team fight resourcefulness. Maybe an engage coming in from Kyle here.
Not only has Kyle not had the strongest of games, but maybe all it takes is one. Okay, they got the wraparound from YCX. Heroic Entrance coming in. They are in a choke point on an equalizer. They have to get out of that fight. LGD will pull multiple summoner spells and multiple ultimates as they do end up pressuring around the Baron.
Still, no Leona ult, no Ahri ult, no Rumble equalizer. I think this is as good of a fight as it's going to get here for anyone's Legend. If they can't win this, we're looking at going to a Game 4 here between LGD and AL.
Climber hasn't been able to win a smite fight against Tarzan yet. Tarzan going in, now with the paranoia, going for the damage, going down low, but gets
Hope's
one
in.
kill before he does. Look at Climber, he's looking for resets. Climber just wants it so bad, but he can't get it. Hope shuts him down. Hope doesn't give his life, and what did I say? That's all you needed to win these fights. Hope, the man, the myth, the legend, to step up for anyone's legend.
It's hope that kills here for LGD as AL are going to push down on the top wave. They shouldn't be able to end this game, but a magnificent team fight finally in Nocturnal that actually connects with the rest of his team. They're able to find that pick onto Sasa. They're going to move over potentially to the Baron here. I mean, Kai'Sa with 3 items plus the Gunmetal Greaves, you might as well go for it.
I'm just going to say you asked me to call my shot earlier. Well, I had called my shot way earlier when I said Hope. I had a feeling. I just had an inkling that Hope was going to be the difference maker in this game, and he absolutely is. Not diving too far, not going overboard, and finding the pick on a Climber right before he got the resets.
Sasa at half HP, and it is all hands on deck to try to get this first kill onto XQW. And LGD, man, I feel so bad from this situation because it is the difference of like 100 HP. Viego finds that kill onto Nocturne early, he gets the reset, and maybe this is an entirely different situation. But a magnificent team fight coming in, and we're making a play again onto
Tarzan,
Shaya
bro.
Hope.
They took the turret, they took the kill, they're taking everything, Alk.
Oh my god, the game collapses. Don't tell me this is how LGD loses. You spent the first 25 minutes of game 1 winning versus AL just to lose it with 2 team fights. You got swept in 23 minutes in game 2. Game 3, you made 30 minutes of AL sweat happen just for you to lose 2 team fights. Back to back. The pip replay in the bottom right of your screen just shows Xiaoya gets completely exploded before he can use the Feather Storm. And the gold lead has exploded yet again. 6,000 here for anyone's legend.
This is just the story of this series. You can have all the bluster, you can have all the confident showings, all the boisterous noise, but in the end, if you're not experienced enough to handle those stressful situations, you will be taken advantage of. And AL have struck when the iron is hot, as has been such the case in this series so far.
No, please, LGD.
But again, we make this a big deal. Like, a lot of people will say, "Oh, it's just one series, guys. It's just, it's just LGD's first series of the year. It's just AL's first series of the year." We are in single round robin, best of 5 elimination style here. You have to win these matchups if you want to put yourself in the best position. And even with a rookie roster, you want more games. You don't just want 3 best of 5s and say, "See you in spring."
It's such a tough format, especially when we talk about the later splits. But yeah, like you were saying, the fact that your winter split is just completely gone if you are not able to get 2 wins in your group means that for all the teams that are on the outside of the bubble, especially for teams like LGD and WE, losses to AL are the ones that we are predicting, but it's the ones you have to make count, and every win matters. Yes, it won't be able to bring you over a series line, but if you're able to go 3-1, 3-2, those are confidence builders. Tarzan's going in.
Yeah, he is, and he's got the follow-through with the damage behind him, although
They can
big
lose
double
this,
knockup.
though.
Look at XQW. He's got an angle. He's got resets, and so does Climber. Choo-choo! Take us to Reset City, please. LGD on the name tag as Tarzan getting taken down slowly but surely. We'll have the speed up from the shadows there, and LGD give us a little bit of a fighting effort.
Tarzan just goes way too deep yet again. Your jungle goat is jeopardizing this game 3 here for AL. It has been back-to-back Nocturnals that have looked a little bit suspect, but they were able to get the pick first time onto Xiaoya. This time, however, it gets multiple summoner spells out from their team and a few kills to boot here for LGD. They're going to stick it together in this game, but Lennon, we're now in a position where 2.5 minutes from a Baron, there's a potential Cloud Drake Soul on the table here for LGD.
We lost the timer, but it's got to be coming up at some point.
I will just say the clean feed has been a bit bugged on the timers once we get to like 3rd and 4th Drake, so It's
There's
just
just
been
a lot of
trend.
things in the game, you know.
Yeah,
just a
there's
lot of
Otacon,
objectives.
there's grubs, there's feats of strength.
Roses.
True. All the
Everything.
blood petals and blood roses. Exactly. There is a lot of going on, but we're
It's like a
hitting those
gacha
Ida
game.
spikes. Is it?
I guess it.
I don't
no,
know if
maybe
I'm-
not.
We
Like a
can
mobile
workshop
game.
that one.
It's a mobile game where they give you all this stuff for free.
We have a mobile game. It's called Wild Rift. Check it out.
Oh.
But yeah. But Tarzan currently on the bottom side of the map. He's going to take his recall. Tried to get a fourth item here. I like that he's gone for the upgraded boots. Does give him a magic shield, but oh my god. This is such a close game. 40 minutes. It's such a heartbreaker. Again, we don't expect for LGD to win this series from the outset, but they have shown 3 really incredible games coming up against AL.
Yeah.
And to only go down in a 3-0, I think would be belittling to the amount of effort that they have put forward in this game.
This is also just showing what a little bit of comfort, but also a good game plan can get you. And I think that's super important when you're playing with a bunch of rookies to have that nailed down. The fact that the reset comp works at every stage of the game doesn't matter how far ahead AL were. I mean, they are 5,000 plus ahead, but if the right person goes down, if the timing is right, it can be LGD's game.
It's a GA here for Climber, so level 18 in the jungle. He has to make it work. This is the carry jungle that we were looking from the LDL, one of the most hyped prospects from the developmental league, and it has to be here in this game.
YCX, I don't know if you wanted that one. Equalizer's going to be popped.
Oh,
Shanks
Shanks.
goes in on the side. Paranoia is going to be there. Kyle getting saved by the heroic entrance. Look at AL. They are so scared to take this fight. Sasa. Oh, he tries to get the flash
my
play. Does he
God.
get the charm? LGD, they want it so bad, Alex, but they can't get it. Hope's going to look to push down mid lane.
Does Hope look for it, though? Has the killer instinct, landed a little bit of those plasma onto Xiaoya. Xiaoya is also going to lifesteal back, get all of that HP ready to go for a Baron on the table here. Teleports coming in from Flandra. There's no heroic entrance. Shanks is going to look for an entrance after his teleport comes through.
This is so
Missing
dicey from
ultimates.
LGD. I mean, this is literally the game here if you lose this, and the Baron is doing so much work. TP on the backline from Shanks as well. LGD will pull out and signal the white flag of retreat.
Dragon spawning in a minute. Soul potential here for LGD. For AL, it'll just be another dragon. And even with the vision, we're getting teleports back in. They are not willing to give this Baron up for free.
I mean, they burn it so fast with Hope. Hope literally disintegrates this Baron. It's getting lower and lower. Climber can't even get in the pit. The Paranoia blocking their vision. Can the light from the sky do it? It's Flandre that takes it, and then it's a massive engage. AL, it feels like a rinse and repeat of that last game. One fight around the Baron pit, and maybe that's all you need. 4 members still alive, and of course it's Climber and XQW, the only ones left.
They're looking for a mid-wave here. Can LGD hold? I mean, it's Baron minions as well.
No.
Great cancel coming in from Tarzan, and that might just be it. This will be the final fight. Amazing cancels coming in
My
from Tarzan.
jungle goat out battery. My jungle goat. They are pushing down mid lane. LGD, no matter how hard they fought, no matter how much hair and scratches they left on AL, it will not matter. AL will push to a 3-0 sweep in their first series of 2025.
It's exactly what we expected, but I think the story of how we got here wasn't exactly what we predicted coming into the
Paper
night.
isn't going to tell you anything about this series. I will just tell you that right now.
Everybody, if you're just going on Twitter, if you're going to Leaguepedia and you just check 3-0 expected, but you're not going to know that in the first game, 25 minutes, AL are getting pushed. In game 3, we go to 45 minutes up against AL, and it is a single team fight that the entire series comes down to. So, sucks for LGD. My hearts go out to them, especially for a group of rookies. We hope that this is going to be a confidence-building series despite the loss, being able to take such a top team through the distance. But, yeah, I'm really excited for this AL team, man. They're able to fight back in such great ways.
That's what's so cool. Like, not only like, it feels bad because like it was a little bit one-sided in the series. We tried to tell a little bit of the stories for LGD. they had some good ones, but there's just so much story making and story backing between this AL team. Not only Tabe, but the kind of mix and match of the players, the reinforcements, kind of the way that they are trying to attack draft in a lot of ways. And it's felt like this team is fun to watch because you don't maybe a little finicky on the Rift, but the drafts, the way that they approach the games is so cool. And I think that makes them a team to must follow in 2025.
For sure. I mean, even if you're just going for, I want to follow the most winningest teams for 2025, well, Demacia Cup is of any consequence. Well, AL are showing up already with a conference win. So great job to get a 3-0. I will say, again, a little bit shaky, but they again showed why they're in this position, why they were able to win the last 2 games prior is ingenuity, getting really good map setups, and great team fighting. That last game, although, was a little bit of a departure from those strengths, and that's why I think it went for so long.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they were thinking back to that flash taunt from Flandre, thinking back to some of those ultimates from Tarzan. They're just kind of throwing stuff at the wall. Unfortunately, I don't think on the opening of his 10-year anniversary, Flandre is going to be getting triple MVP for this one. It looks like Shanks was definitely winning it towards the end there, but all in all, a great showing from Anyone's Legend. We'll be going through the highlights here soon, I'm sure, after going through some of the stats and things. That's where I want to turn a little bit of the attention to LGD. I think there's a lot of potential. You talked about it a lot. We talked about it a lot throughout the series. We got to see some of those sparks that I expected and wanted to see from this team. I knew they weren't necessarily going to get wins, but the fact they got so close in that last game as well, that just shows a lot of the potential and what LGD saw when they wanted to draft 4 rookies onto their starting LPL roster.
Even if they bomb out of this group, they lose out on the winter split, they go to spring, there is a lot that is playable. The format is a lot different in spring. They're going to have 2 groups of 8, so if you remember last year's group Nirvana and Ascend, that's going to be something that's going to be coming back for the second split of the LPL, and that opens up so much more. You're playing against teams that are generally around your skill level at that point, and then you can kind of say maybe LGD look to be top 4, top 2 in that group. We'll have to see how it shakes out and what teams we're sending to that side of the group.
Climber looked good.
Again, yeah, I want LGD to succeed, not only because we made a silly graphic about it, but just the story of having 2 LDL champions from the last year kind of as a reward for their hard work and effort from the last year. Multiple pieces from different rosters that also did very well in development, pieces from different rosters. I think this is just a feel-good story and not just random smattering of rookies and maybe some veterans that don't have a lot of synergy innately.
Yeah, and a lot of grain of salt with kind of following this team and the bumps and bruises that are going to be there along the way, but that's what develops fandom, and these are the kinds of teams that you want to start backing early, because 2-3 years from now, these are going to be the names that you see running rampant around the league, and especially the ones like Climber, who was going toe-to-toe with Tarzan a lot of the series tonight, which is really nice to see for a jungler who controls so much of the map and usually dictates a lot of what the jungle matchup looks like. It was really nice to see somebody kind of push his buttons a little bit.
It's okay. They've been doing it on the international stage for a couple games now, too, so it's okay.
No big deal, I guess.
Tarzan is not getting away from those allegations, man. The international community has some gripes with this dude for his worlds, okay? So I'm going to need to see another Tarzan trophy lift. I'm going to have to, maybe not him slipping on the floor like we saw.
True.
But he needs some silverware, man. Like, this guy has been your jungle. He's your jungle GOAT now. He's been a top-level jungler in the LPL, but hasn't been able to pick up a trophy. And maybe this is the roster to do it.
Dude, out of all the rosters, imagine. Like, if this is the most I'm going to do it myself roster Tarzan has ever been on, just gets a championship is wild. I got to give a massive shout out. I think Shanks is probably going to win the MVP, but Hope literally won in that game in a lot of ways. But I think he learned not to just go straight for Xiaoya or XQW because it wasn't worth giving his life. His sustained damage onto the Viego and onto these frontliners was much more worth it. And after he learned that and kind of adapted mid-game, we saw much different fights from AO.
Shanks just played 3 games in a row that were really, really great. I don't know.
He
what
did.
else to
He did.
say. He played the Akali game you know, barring some laning mistakes, he got there in the end and actually really executed on his job of just bursting out the enemy AD carry in the second game. This is a great escape coming out, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it changes all that much. I really do think that Shanks obviously deserves it for this game, but probably also earned it for. I'm still mad about game 1 going over to Flandre.
Nah, man, I don't
disgusting.
know. Flandre deserves those two. Yeah, I think it's just really nice to see, again, it was kind of a theme that I had brought into this one after that game number 1, but it's not just Tarzan. Even though I'm memeing about it, he's going to do it single-handedly. It's literally the holistic feeling of this team that just feels cohesive. And maybe that has a lot to do with Tabe behind the scenes. Maybe it's just a vibes check, but it feels really good.
Do you think that this AL team, because I'm starting to get this feeling, this is like the Misfits toys, the Misfits toys. You have Flandre who's coming in. He has obviously a bad year on JDG. Tarzan has been, like I said, maligned by some international performances and not being able to bring home a finals after I think he was in spots to win those finals. Shanks, a player who I think hasn't had very many high highs. Hope as well, the top 4 at Worlds and then disappearing basically from the international stage. Kael as a Korean import coming in from Gen G Challengers and Sandbox. I think this is a very real narrative we can kind of carry for ourselves as we go through the year.
Yeah, and the narrative that they are pretty damn good for a bunch of Misfit toys, I guess.
Yes.
I wonder how the island of Misfit toys feels after having lost 5 of their best pieces.
Man.
I had to come on.
Sometimes you got to graduate. It's like VTubers. You eventually got to graduate out of the program.
God, what a movie, by the way. Anyways, I still think that, you know, there's a lot of room to grow for this team, but the fact that there's always a team, it feels like every year, that attacks you straight from draft. And to me, it feels like AL is going to be that team this year. I don't know if that'll actually pan out to be a thing, but in Demacia Cup here in their first series, it just felt like they were putting pressure on from minute 1 getting into draft.
I mean, think about what they did in Demacia Cup, right? The Zac jungle. They had Seraphine, of all things, coming out from the support position for Kael. They are, I think, a very innovative team, not just Flandre, and showing stuff like this. What? It's not for Shanks!
What?
He got super robbed!
Dude, I will admit that Kyle does not deserve that POG. That man
Give it back.
His face off for like 90% of the game. Shanks,
All right.
I'm so sorry, my boy.
If the only reason we stay live is I just want to see the vote breakdown, there is no reason he should have gotten this.
Why is this?
Yeah, give me this replay where he stood there so that he could give Galio ult. All right, I want to see what highlights did they choose for Kael to win this, because. All right, so it's the pick. Wow, the flash, the engage flash out. All right, is there another one? So we picked one at like 8 minutes into the game, and then we picked another one at like 16. Can
On
we
the
get another
official
one?
broadcast, we could never like say bad things about about the MVP vote.
All right, this
Oh
one's
my
kind of clean.
God.
This one's kind of sexy. I like this one.
Oh my goodness. But
He gets out
it
as
just
well.
does like the first 30 minutes of the game. Like, does this make up for that? I don't know. Congratulations, Kyle. I mean, maybe he deserves it in the long run.
I don't know about it in the long run. I'm cool with hating on support players, but all right, let's see. Oh, it's a split vote. 2 people for Shanks, 2 people for Hope. Because those 4 people voted or split the vote, Kyle got it. Also,
Shame,
the
shame,
observers.
shame.
I'm gonna have to talk. I'm having Kai send over some
observers.
notes to the observer
They
crews
did.
over there.
Oh my goodness, what a series. I'm sad we didn't get more games, but 3 games of a banger and getting to see LGD's rookie roster and anyone's legend first time in the LPL with this version of their roster. It was a ton of fun. Alec, do you have any general thoughts kind of moving forward for both these teams? Do you think Group A is looking a little AL favored?
Oh yeah, I already knew that coming into the group. I just like, again, Demacia Cup. Like Jackie Love got put on a poster, so
He did. He literally did. I would love for somebody to like edit that into a graphic and please send it to me.
yeah, AL did so well in Demacia Cup. I think part of the reason for their success is the fact that they had to play in group stage. They played their 3 games. They got all of that experience. They got to experience what drafting on the new patch was going to be like, drafting for a full Fearless in quarterfinals versus BLG, then playing up against Weibo. They had, I think, a very good schedule for them to kind of build out their roster, test a few things, and now we're in a situation where they just have a head start. They have, what, 7, 9, they have 13 games over any other team in the tournament right now.
Yeah, it's actually wild. I'm just so happy that LPL is back. I'm just so happy that we get more games. We have more games every day, and that they're best of 5s. We did get our first 3-0 today, which is a little bit sad, but you know, we move on from that. Bigger and better. Speaking of moving on from that, we got one big shout out to give before we send it away. Thank you very much from the bottom of my hearts, from the bottom of everybody's hearts, a part of this project, to our elite Ko-Fi supporter, Aaron Superis. They pledged financial contributions, helps level up the broadcast and give back to the cast and the broadcast, the producers who's tried to give you an LPL English product every single day, because we are on every day. It is an absolute pleasure to be able to provide this for everybody, and thank you, Aaron, so much for giving us all that support. If you want to support us even more, please go donate to that Ko-Fi. It pays for all the production stuff, the graphics, the edits, the content, the interviews that we're going to be having, as well as paying some of the broadcast crew when we get the chance. Thank you all for tuning in for another night of the LPL. It has been an absolute blast, and we'll be back tomorrow for yet another best of 5. You won't want to miss it. We'll see you then.
Sub on Twitch and YouTube, guys.